Hello and welcome, Draft League fans. Today we have a returning guest, Owen Gialbina, whatever.
You, whatever, exactly. You know me,
You know the
Chili
guy.
KO podcast veteran.
Yeah. Is your last name really Galbina? That's crazy.
Yeah, man, you don't have to leak it like that. Just give him my fucking address, too.
Yeah, I heard you were on US West in the past.
Hey, you can check the smoke on profile.
Yeah. That guy is doxed. Anyways, we're here doing another coaching video. This time, we're back for BBL. We did our first episode on one of the BBL weeks, but this is finals. So we decided we're going to do some crazy stuff here. And yeah, you see this matchup. Well, this is not good because in the regular season, you got smoked.
We freaking lost. Pretty bad, actually. It was like week one. We only lost twice in the whole season, and week one, I got pretty unlucky, so I'm not super upset with how I played. This one, I just got rolled. Like it was not a close game at all. Not a matchup I'm super comfortable with.
You got smoked so bad, your opponent was starting to look a little bit like Snoop Dogg. You know what I'm saying? It was like really crazy. But anyways,
so that's a pop culture reference.
Yeah. Chat. This might be a pop culture reference. So, for those of you at home unaware, Snoop Dogg. Okay, never mind. Okay, so this is the matchup. This is probably the one matchup you didn't want to see in finals, but that's okay because we're gonna try really, really hard, and therefore we're gonna win.
Super hard, yeah.
So first, we're gonna do a little bit of a first look at the matchup. We're gonna look at the team that we had last time into it. Now, Scarf Fluttermane, this was here for what? Revenge killing Iron Boulder?
Revenge, yeah, it was a combination of things like DD. We weren't really offensive with this initial build, as you can see. It was like kind of like screens offensive. And I don't think Scarf Flutter is necessarily like the best set, but it felt required into a team with like DD Kieran Black, Booster Boulder, or Scarf that ended up coming, things like that, to give me a pretty reliable revenge into them, being that once they get boosted, they kind of O-code my entire team.
Yeah, that's not super cash money. And we had Scarf, mostly because the number one set for Iron Boulder we saw in Mux was Terra-Fighting SD Booster. So that's not what he brought in the actual game, though.
No, it brought Fairy, which doesn't even
here as well. Yeah, which is Terra Fairy Scarf. And Scarf was important because I think we had planned on only checking booster energy one time, and then after that, it's a little bit easier to deal with. Actually, that's completely cap. It's actually outspeeds the exact same Pokemon no matter what. But like one time quick
it was more so it was Scarf because like even without booster it outsped everything, but with booster it outsped like Flutter trying to revenge it, right? So like I wanted to have the option to cover that. And it also again gives me the opportunity into like not losing to Kieran Black at +1 because like I kind of kills everything.
What I was thinking about was the Ogerpon's Trailblaze and the Quackable is really good here with Aqua Step, so it can only check one of those with booster, but with Scarf it can check both of them throughout the whole game.
Consistently.
So good prep by him, of course. But like the other sets we had here, like Sword Stand Trailblaze, like kind of set up a spam here with a Chungus screen setter. Now it's cut off on my screen, but you name this team BBL versus John version 2 Chunky Monkey offense. Now explain Chunky Monkey to me. Why do we call it this?
So because I didn't want to call it Chungus offense because I don't like that name. I think Chunky Monkey is sillier, so I did that. However, I understand the error of my ways.
You have to embrace it. And
I can't like draw upon the power of Chungus offense but also disrespect it,
Yeah, you can't have it both ways. Anyways.
So now we don't know if we do bring Chungus offense, it will be named appropriately this time and forever after.
Go. Okay, let's look at how he approached handling our threats, right? Because our number one threat is Dialga in this matchup, and it's not even close. So, looking at Dialga, what did he have for this? Max Swadef AV Swampert, and folks, that'll do it.
Yeah, freaking 8 in the game. Like in the actual game, modest. Again, I was pretty defensive, but I was modest Dialga, just a strong pocket monster. Dragon Pulses were doing like 25, 30. Like they were doing absolutely nothing to the set.
A 4-hit KO on this thing. Maybe even a 5-hit KO
and
with no
it
hazards,
always just got great flip turn momentum. And just put me in a terrible position.
And then
consistently.
Our lead here, Kieran Black with Charty Berry, DD, 3 attacks mixed with earth power to hit the Rotom Heat. This was a big problem at lead, right?
Yeah, so part of it was me being silly in my play. Because obviously, if you're bringing screens offense, you need screens, right? Especially like with this team in particular, there weren't a lot of positions for things like Quaquaval and Ogerpon to actually set up and do the damage I wanted them to, unless screens were up. And what happened was essentially I led into the Kyurem Black turn 1. I Ivy Cudgeled on a what do you call it? I either Ivy Cudgeled or I think
No,
I
I think
spiked.
you switched. I think you
Or I
switched
switched.
because in a
I think I
mock,
went hard
no,
covering
I
Scarf.
remember it actually, because yeah, in a mock, someone brought Scarf Icicle Spear into lead Ogre, and you were like, "Oh, I can't let that happen." So they basically spooked you into
or even
switching.
Scarf Beam, just because Terravolt obviously just goes through my Sturdy.
Either
So
way.
I think it was a really good lead from John. He covered he hard called the Ogre lead because my plan was to kind of just lead it and really put on some offensive pressure. Well, no, I was ST3.
Removal?
I was ST3.
Oh yeah, right. But like the only removal is Tentacruel, not Tentacruel, Toadscruel, and a Weezing, which both of them are terrible. And this guy does not really enjoy using boots. That's a common thing that we've noticed with his prep. He tends not to bring boots very often. As you can see, Weakness Policy Ho-Oh, Chartyberry Kyurem, this guy has never heard of heavy duty boots.
Well, and like so, Swampert's really important to not have spikes up on too. I think if it wants to consistently switch into Dialga, like if I was like Specs Draco or something like that, if that's his answer because he brought a more offensive
one-time answer.
Yeah, he needs to not have spike up or like it just doesn't really work consistently.
So that's something we could maybe improve on, taking advantage of this like lack of boots general build trend that he has. He might still bring boots Ho-Oh, but like we're gonna want to bring rocks, of course. Like And did we bring rocks this time?
We did not bring rocks.
No. Big error.
But yeah, in general though, with the lead too, another thing was like obviously I switched out to Scout for Scarf / Sash / Charty. There's a lot of sets that Kyurem Black can just kind of beat the Ogre on lead with, and I think Ogre was really strong here, so I'm not like mad about scouting for that. But what I should have done is I know that Earth Power can come out, right? And him being lead DD doesn't mean he's not Earth Power, just blow me up so he doesn't get burned. I should have just pivoted through Flutter. And kind of handled it that way. I don't need to be at 100% on Flutter. Flutter is really there to check things like Kyurem Black and Iron Bolt. It's not even there to win. I think I didn't see Grimmsnarl, so I was like, oh, Shadow Ball endgame. But even offensive Ho just kind of says, no, you're not going to win with Flutter, man. He just eats it alive. So
especially when
I should have made that
rocks,
play. So.
Like it's kind of rough to build around that as an endgame piece. It's much more intended as a revenge killer for Iron Boulder, +1 Kyurem, that sort of thing. But anyways, like I was saying before, Swampert is the #1 thing stopping our Dialga, our Flutter main, from really getting too much damage off. And that's our Ubers. That's a big deal. So what do we want to do about this Swampert set? Because honestly, he could just bring it again. It did a very good job last time at really containing those threats. He might think, oh, I'm just going to bring this again and then mix it up a little bit with these guys, which totally can vary in their sets. So it's not completely predictable on his end. But I can definitely see the perk coming again.
Yeah, I think John in general can kind of approach this matchup more defensively than he did too. And I think even then my team would have struggled pretty heavy, like into like something like, more bulky Ho-Oh, things like that. Like I'm not too convinced on the offensive setup, like the Flame Charge weakness policy stuff. But I think he can pretty comfortably build around like that core of like Ho-Oh, Swampert, maybe something like Goldingo, maybe a Weezing. I'm not too sold on Weezing, to be honest with you. It just seems like a free Dialga entry point. But it seems like the most consistent way of dealing with these things is going to be the combination of hazards, plus even like Knock, like something like Crook Knock into these guys like Perk coming in, and really just his team in general hates the move Knockoff. I also noticed, like especially if we have hazards up, if he does go the boots route this time, if he identifies like, okay, I'm a little hazard weak with this prior build.
Well, he does have Rapid Spin, right? And this guy loves Toadscruel, so he might just bring that again. But what do you see about this team of 6 that stands out to you? There's one thing that I'm looking at particularly.
Like a weakness in it, or?
Just like how he's building. Look at Quaquaval and look at this team. He's terrified of that thing. Max defense, Colbur, Goldango, Scarf, Fairy, Boulder. This guy massively over-prepped for it. And of course, that's going to stop it, of course, but it does leave things open for your other stuff. Like, if he's going to prep like this for the Quaquaval, which I think low-key he might have to, Like, outside of this, what else is he supposed to do? So like, how can we take advantage of this with something else? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's true. It's a matter of like what are these defensive pieces that Quackleval is struggling into? Like, what of my team kind of deals with them often, or can take advantage of those positions, either with, you know, him just bringing them, or even like potential like flip turn positions and things like that, flip turn / U-turn positions.
What I'm seeing here as an opening is like Expert Belt, Vortex, Mew, something like that, with lots of coverage. Giga Drain for Swampert, you know, Flamethrower for these two, like a Power Gem or something, Stone Edge maybe for these two. Like, it just kind of hits everything super effectively, and it's really, really hard for him to pivot into, considering it outspeeds 5, and the last one is Iron Boulder, which can't really hurt it 1v1, you know what I mean?
No, especially depending on the Terra type. Yeah, I mean, I noticed the offensive Mew in general was pretty good last time.
Yeah,
we were
nasty
set
plot
up
3
though,
attacks,
with
right?
nasty.
Yeah.
I was Terra Dark Pulse, just because I like the typing a little bit defensively, as well into things like Goldango. But I mean, realistically, yeah, we can realistically go kind of like that Power Gem. I like the Giga Drain idea, or the Swampert, either as we go like Extra Belt, or maybe even like some kind of weird AV angle if we don't really find consistent Goldango counterplay too, to find entry points there.
Yeah, you could totally
but...
be AV, take advantage of that Goldango coming in. Outside of that, though, it's not really too much of a useful item, so maybe we prefer a different item if it's only being used for really just one special attacker. Like, the main threats here are physical, right? These three are by far the biggest threats to our team. We do want to handle that somewhat well. So how are we going to do that? What are our defensive options into these? Like, Kyurem Black, it's hard to say you have defensive options, right? Because not a lot of teams do.
Well, that's part of the reason I kind of like settled with like the blanket, like still offensive but very defensive Dialga, because I felt like he really struggled killing it, and it was a great soft check to that Dragon Dance Kyurem Black. I mean, it's obviously strong, but like +1 Adamant Spears don't come close to sniffing a KO even after like 3 spikes. Yeah. So I liked that aspect of it, as well as like with the defensive set, I could always kind of stay in and trade with Ho-Oh / force it out and, you know, get some strong attacks off. So that's always an option. Realistically, beyond the Dialga, I don't see any consistent defensive counterplay to Kyurem. It's I do have a lot of mons that are faster, and potentially faster with a Scarf, which is nice. Again, like the Flutter, it could even be boosted this time, potentially as a one-time check, or we can go back with the Scarf variant, you know, depending on how things go. But yeah, that's why I kind of felt forced into going that more defensive, tanky Dialga that we went last time.
Yeah, so I want to do some calcs here with specifically Quaquaval. Let me see, because
hard calling, no fusion. Even then, I think
import his old sets. Whoops. Can I? There we go. So Goldango. This looks like it's definitely going to be his initial pivot.
Well, it would also look like it was potentially there for Cornerstone, which it looks like he also was pretty worried about too.
This is not the Goldango that I just imported. Hello?
Yeah, very defensive. It was probably Cole before that as well, but I guess it serves as like a catch-one check to both of those guys, kind of puts them both in jail.
Yo, can my import work? This is not the set. Right?
It's 192, 228 if you want to just do that.
Sure.
And
this was modest, right? Yeah. And Colbur. What I'm really interested to know is, does +1 Aqua Step to it KO? And it kind of does with like any amount of chip. So one thing I do want to consider is like banded Aqua Step, because if you look at his water resist, he doesn't have any besides Kyurem Black. So if we're able to chip that thing on a switch in with Aqua Step, I think that's probably a fine trade, you know. Especially
it's not like it bounces.
Yeah, it's still strong, right?
And again, I think Kyurem especially, like, I think he kind of forces the no boots Ho a lot of the time, but Kyurem really doesn't like being boots. It likes that resist spear, or it really likes obviously being like loaded dice, right? With like DD scale shot spear.
And always has to risk
feel
this.
Like how strong that is.
Like you're not risking this early game ever.
Oh, 100%.
You have to reveal Banded for him to even think about going Kyurem, because otherwise Aqua Step, even if he gets that quote-unquote right, you're getting follow-up CC'd no matter what. So what I'm interested in is either this, or, you know, like a bulky SD kind of thing. Like we had
Mhm.
offensive SD, which is fine with
Mhm.
screens, but I don't know if we necessarily want to go screens again, because he's
Yeah.
definitely more likely to be prepped for it in a rematch, especially considering,
Mhm.
it's a upload
That's what
league,
we got.
everything has been revealed, etc.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is maybe a Quaquable that can like is designed to 1v1 a Goldango that looks something like this.
Like more defensive. I think if we do go SD like bulky, it probably is going to remain Lum in this matchup in general. It also
Hmm.
covers like two-wave Goldango, two-wave Grimmsnarl,
Yeah, I think it.
Willow, Weezing, things like that. Even I don't think Willow Ho, but shit, if he's like random dual wing beat and he has to burn me to not lose, who knows? But yeah, I definitely think if it's SD, it'd be Lum, but it's either CB
Yeah, one of
or
these two.
Lum.
I think I want to build two different teams with these two sets because I think
Mhm.
Quack is probably your number one like
Right.
threat, assuming
Oh
that
yeah.
this Swampert comes. If the Swampert
Mhm.
doesn't come, then Dialga becomes a massive threat as well. But like,
Mhm.
then we have two threats, so can't complain too
Oh
much
yeah.
about that. Then I want
Oh
to
yeah.
see these Mew sets, right?
I do like the idea of offensive four attacks, just like putting him in a uncomfortable position. I don't know if that's on lead or later in the game. I feel like it might be a potentially on lead thing to guarantee Terra as well and get into like whatever typing we want to get into. It's also a matter of that is that going to be more offensive or is that going to be more defensive?
Yeah,
Um like a Terra water set doesn't seem like a terrible idea defensively into guys like Ho-Oh.
you could look at
I
a
don't know.
Meteor Beam kind of thing because you do kind of use up the power herb on a lot of guys pretty freely.
Yeah, and like coverage wise, I mean, what we have Meteor Beam, we have Flamethrower, we potentially have coverage for Swampert. They're not 100% sure, because even then, it's not like Swampert immediately threatens me unless I'm a Terra type weak to it, so I can just kind of click a +1 Psychic or something on it
Mhm.
in its face, or even a Psyshock.
Let's call it
Um,
this so far. What don't we hit with this?
this struggles with Ho-Oh after we burn our Meteor Beam, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, it struggles with Grimmsnarl technically, but even then, if we're a Terra type that's not weak to Grimmsnarl, we just like +1 Flamethrower through it. It doesn't do anything to us. It's a very
Hmm.
not good Pokemon. Um, yeah, it would just be Ho-Oh. It looks like after Meteor Beam is burned. I'm what. As silly as it sounds, Terra Rock sounds really strong here, but I also don't
Yeah,
like it defensively
of
at
course,
all.
of course.
Yeah, I don't like it defensively into things like potentially Scarf Goldango this time, or
Oh.
yeah, really just I guess Scarf Goldango if that comes.
Hmm. Let's see, Flame,
So
Meteor Beam, that's Draco Meteor. And then our last move was Giga Drain. I can't type
yeah,
today. This is horrible. So Meteor Beam looks like it probably one-shots Kyurem depending on rolls. With any chip, of course.
but he also will not
He
kill
was
me
Chardy
either.
Berry last time as well.
It was Chardy, yeah.
But
I think
still,
that was
good
specifically in the
trade.
lead instance, but I click that into like a neutral move and it probably dies, right?
Yeah,
Like
you
that,
could
and a
also have
+1
like
move, whatever that
Vacuum
fourth.
Wave as well.
Hmm.
If it DDs on you or something like that, +1 Vacuum
Yeah.
Wave should pick stuff off.
Oh yeah.
But then after you
Um.
use the Meteor, you're like Giga Walled by Ho-Oh, so I don't like that.
Well,
But
that's what I was thinking.
some kind
Potentially,
of
what are the
Mew.
Psyshock rolls? Do you mind checking that real quick? Like, what does +1 Psyshock do to Ho-Oh if he's like max HP?
Just max
Because
HP.
Psychic does look strong, like kind of like neutrally into this.
So +1 is still not
Zero
even a 2-hit
damage.
KO.
None.
Yeah, and
Maybe a
Synchro
neutral
from
water
that.
move. We'll see. A neutral water move also doesn't seem terrible, like Surf or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Neutral Pump. Let's go.
Hydro Pump Mew, that might be banned. Might be too
Not
powerful.
because it's too broken. It's just because it's stupid.
No, haven't you heard? Anything with higher than 67 special attack cannot
This
run Hydro Pump. It's
this Mew
illegal.
looks like a set I'd run if I was 9.
Yeah, baby's first tech,
Really-
type B.
This this is my Gyarados set in black and white too. My first
True.
run when I was fucking 12. Um,
Okay, but like, maybe not Meteor
this
Beam,
idea
but
move.
I think just Power Gem is probably
Mhm.
fine. With Expert Belt, it's still strong, but you don't have
Well,
it
I
like
wonder if we can
one-time
go
use.
bulky enough to live that +1 Kyurem hit anyway, so we can
Mhm.
just like 2-shot with with power gem or something like that, or like as long as we live +1 hit from the cure.
Yeah, I don't even mind like going nasty plot again, something like this.
Yeah,
I think this could
not
definitely
a terrible
work.
idea.
I know last time we were Terra Dark, but I think Colberberry Goldango does seem like a pretty obvious set in retrospect, of course. Like there's a Crocodile, there's Quackable, which could knock off, Ogrepon, knock off coverage. It's just a good item on that thing. So I think Flamethrower is probably a better pick overall.
Yeah.
And for the Terra
It gives an
type,
Oko on Toad
we'll
School
see.
too, which is nice.
We'll see about the Terra type.
It's probably something defensive on a set like this, but yeah.
Okay, what I want to do first is build around Choice Banded Quaquaval, okay? So, CB, I mean, Wave Crash is going to 2-hit KO Goldango no matter what. So, let's have that on.
I think you definitely want Jet here, right? And just the strong prio.
Probably just something like this. Like, what more do you need?
I don't think I want any, like, there's no reason for any momentum, right? Because if I'm coming in with Goldango and I get an opportunity to attack, I'm either going to just click the obvious button, or I'm not going to predict a switch and U-turn. I'm going to predict a switch and click the button that 2-hit KOs them on.
Well, there is that, but also, could you transition with a flip turn into an offensive Mew that doesn't have switch-ins? Is that not the same thing, but you're no longer locked into a water move against KB? Which can probably
Well, it's also the
counterclaim.
matter of, like, do I ever lock Wave Crash if Aqua Step is just doing that much?
Well,
I
even
guess
then,
in like
right,
a
it's the same
1v1
thing.
scenario into like Swampert or something, it would be nice, but
What I'm saying is, like, Quaquaval, sure, it'll 2-hit KO the Goldango, and he might even stay in and let you have it, but then after that turn, Kyurem Black is coming in, and it will get a free turn, which is scary. So maybe just going for a flip turn is better into an offensive Mew, which does not allow a free Kyurem turn. See what I mean? I think that might be a little bit better, honestly.
Okay.
So I think keeping the Jet is probably cool, right? But I think it's definitely Step.
Well, I like the
CC.
banded Jet for things like Ho-Oh, right?
Yeah,
because it's going to be faster than me. So having a revenge that, especially if he is that like Mickey weakness policy, flame charge type stuff that he went last time, you know.
Now, do we think this Goldango has any reason to be max speed, or even close to it? No, I don't think so. He gets so much out of the Goldango bulk EVs that I really am okay with going Adamant at the very least. Now his set is like 0 speed, it's 80 speed. So I definitely want to creep that by a solid margin. But I also want to hit things like defensive Ho-Oh, stuff like that. So Ho-Oh with no speed, 237. We're going to creep that by quite a bit. What else do we really need to creep though? Like maybe a
not
max
much,
speed.
as long as you got speed boulder,
that's not real.
No.
What was the fastest
And even
thing
if it
here?
is, it's just gonna get Aqua Stepped and outsped after, and
This was the fastest thing, but I think this is just creeping Quaquaval anyways, so...
oh yeah, if you run speed on the Toadskrill, it's going to outspeed Quack.
So I
Like,
think...
there's no other reason to, or it'll probably outspeed Crocodile, which is, it looks like pretty outsped.
So what does this Goldango hit with 80 speed? I'm curious. 246. What's that for?
Is that for like no speed Rotoms? No, 24 speed Rotoms?
It's
It might
for
be like
a
random
slow
free Rotoms.
Dialga, I think.
Let's see. Dialga.
Like defensive base 100s kind of thing.
Yeah, let's see. Dialga no speed hits 324.
I think.
Or no, I lied. 216. Sorry. So it covers like that and some.
Yeah, this is for like Fat Crook, Fat Mew, that sort of thing. Fat Shaman. He wants to outspeed those, which makes sense. So we want to creep that by a little bit. Just some aggro creep, getting the Adamant on here. Like Adamant Banded Aqua Step is going to hit quite reasonably hard. So I think it's definitely worth it.
And it gives that roll on his same defensive type spread.
Okay, let me see. So
Yeah, it
Aqua
gives him
Step
a
does
good
give
roll.
us speed boost. So we want to see if we need anything like +2 for +1 boulder. You know what I mean? So if Iron Boulder's just... what would it run? It would creep base 110. Maximum. He has no reason to go max because even with this, the booster will give it to its speed.
Yeah,
So-
he was 144 Jolly last time. I don't know if that's what hits.
Yeah, this is exactly the same. So
350,
528
352.
divided by 2, 264. We want to hit that, which is basically max speed. Okay, At this point, I'm just gonna go max, because if he just randomly throws in a little bit extra speed just in case, you know, I want to cover that.
Yeah, we're not getting much of the 12 HP
Yeah,
or
like,
whatever.
what are you gonna do? Live on 1% versus something? Unlikely. I'd rather just, you know, have a little bit extra speed just in case. All right. So I think this is pretty cool. Now, what do we want the Mew to be to take advantage of those flip turns on Goldango? I think something like Expert Belt does make a lot of sense in that idea. Because then we can just flamethrower.
The main thing I'm stumped on is that Terra typing, right? Like I don't quite know what the best defensive typing in this matchup really would be. I don't know if that's going to be, again, my initial thought was something like water. Give me Ice Resist. It kind of takes Goldango on decently well in the sense of like you can't strong make it rain me.
It's a good
You can,
defensive
like,
typing
shadow
for
ball me.
sure.
Yeah, it's
You
good
could
to
also
hollow.
do something like this if we're 4 attacks Expert Belt Stellar typing. You could get a lot out of it. Psychic is not
That's
bad
not a
into
bad
him.
idea. That's not a terrible idea, no. Especially if we are Expert Belt. I wonder, what are the Stellar... Dude, it's the first time I'm putting this shit in the calc ever. I'm curious on the Stellar calcs with Power Gem. You... I'm gonna make this max special attack. We can't afford... Mod is here, right? No, there's a cure. Power Gem... Stellar, not Steel. Stellar.
Is this right?
Okay, and...
Yeah, this does nothing to Iron Boulder.
Yeah.
Get 2 at
I mean, it's
KOs,
not
I guess, with Giga Drain, which is good enough.
I mean, it does it 2 at KO Stellar and a non-Stellar?
Yeah, for sure. Like,
Okay.
this is, what, 112?
Dude, I mean, Stellar, fucking Power Gem just also barely 2 at KOs Ho-Oh. It can kind of just reach in and off, come back in, and take me on. It is 60 min, or 58 min. With Stellar Power Gem.
That's still good chip, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
he's
guess
not
I
exactly
forced him to
switching
reach out
into
around.
this. Plus, I mean, depending on rolls and such, you can always go for like a Psyshock follow-up or a Psychic follow-up, which is really hard for him to pivot into.
Yeah. And I guess if he goes like that offensive set, right, he takes like 70 from raw Power Gem, which is really nice.
Yeah, this also means you don't need to predict Ho-Oh ever. You can just go for a Psychic, and when it comes in, it'll always be in Power Gem range. You know what I mean?
Unless it's Shardy, yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's
like,
Shardy, then I'll
won't
just
hurt you
Tokyo it.
back. Yeah. I think something like this is probably fine. I'm curious on the Stellar, though, because you might end up wanting a defensive typing, like you said, Water, or like...
I'll test Stellar. I'll test Stellar for now. Water was my main idea. Really, I'm just trying to think of typings that like neutrally cover his offense, right? Because there's literally nothing that this like top offensive core of like Ho-Oh, Kyurem, Iron Boulder like does not hit hard. Like like the defensive typings in a one is hit by the other. It's kind of like why he drafted them together, obviously, right? So like there's not much like I can't be Steel for Kyurem because I'm gonna get blown up by Ho-Oh. I can't be Rock for Ho-Oh because then I'm gonna get blown up by Boulder.
But we can look at this combo. I think this combo works in theory, and we'll see if it actually works in practice. But for now, let's keep building upon this idea.
Yeah.
The Dialga set. This is the other thing that is important for how the build is going to end up. What do we want when we're pairing it with CB, with Expert Belt, these offensive guys? We probably want it to be a more defensive role, just because these guys are not taking a lot of hits, and Dialga is actually really good at taking hits in this matchup. So do you think Choppleberry or lefties?
I was thinking something similar. I do like the Choppleberry. I don't know. Maybe I'm still super worried about Boulder at +2, right? And he was fairy last time, which very strong neutrally, but like close combat blows me up. I really struggle with these close combat variants. So maybe not Dragon Pulse because the damage is really underwhelming. Maybe this. I was gonna say maybe it is Draco, but Draco is also pretty underwhelming in the sense of like, Ho pivots in, now my Power Gems do nothing, right? I think that's why originally I went Dragon Pulse instead. And obviously I could be Stone Edge instead, right, too? But
Rock Slide
Ho
as well.
speeds me, burns me, and then I also do no damage.
It's all good, man.
So that's why I ended up going like Dragon Pulse Power Gem. This also is probably the rocker unless we bring Crook, right? We only have 3 rocks in this team. Mew is not rocks here.
Okay.
So it's a matter of like, do we bring Crook or not? If we bring Crook, Crook is probably rocks, or can be at least. And if Crook doesn't come, then Dialga probably needs to be rocks because rocks are kind of required now.
Yes. So last slot, Power Gem or rocks probably, but I think Draco's probably worthwhile to have. Just because that extra chip on Swampert, I think it will add up.
Yeah.
You could also go something like Eject Pack on this. You know, Eject Pack Draco.
Yeah, it might not
that
be a
gets your
terrible
Quaquaval
idea.
in versus Ho-Oh potentially. It also gets, you know, Quaquaval in on Swampert, which he absolutely does not want to stay in. Get off a free CC or Aqua Step or Flip Turn, whichever the situation calls for. I think we could definitely try it.
I'm wondering if the Eject Pack, if like, so like obviously if Swampert comes in, I think Quack is the play for sure. Get into Quack, Aqua Step, you know, do big damage, be very annoying. I also think that Eject Pack Draco into Ho-Oh though, that could be the Mew position, right? Especially if I haven't revealed any Mews, he has to get out, right? Because I'm Terra Stellar. I'm obviously Power Gem. What if I'm fucking Meteor Beam or Stone Edge or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that could allow for some like pretty aggressive play offensively in that regard. Like we could hard Flamethrower on the Goldango or something like that and put that into a KO range and then, you know, kind of put him in a bad spot there. So I think potentially.
You could also just Power Gem into it and then Flamethrower after. The Goldango stays in a Shadow Ball you, it's not going to kill. If it T-Raves you, you synchronize it back, that's all good. And that'll open up your Quaquaval either way. Like, sure you can go for the Predict, but you don't necessarily have to. Like, Power Gem into Goldango is still a fine situation for you with the Flamethrower Terra Stellar follow-up. It's still going to do a lot of damage, and he can't exactly one-shot you back. Maybe he's like Scarf or something, but I think he'll be defensive here. Makes too much sense.
My next question, too, in regards to, like, the team, with all this pressure that we have on potentially Goldango, especially with things like the Quaquaval, Pokemon like that, is there, like, room for Ogre Cornerstone offensively, or is it as a spiker this week? Because I do think that Ogre is also really freaking strong into him.
Yeah,
like,
I think so as well.
The combination of Cudgel Whip is, like, ridiculously powerful here. And if we get up with Trailblaze, again, if he doesn't have that booster boulder, that scarf boulder, or we're in sturdy range, he can like literally just lose potentially.
Do we go Power Whip here or Horn Leech? I think we go Horn Leech here, right?
It could get back to sturdy in certain instances, and I'm kind of cudgeling most things.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, it would literally just be for something like Swampert, you know, if he's sacking it to get back up to full. Again, I don't quite know what this set looks like. It could be Trailblaze. It could just not be Trailblaze and be like SD. But like if we're Ivy Cudgel, Horn Leech, Trailblaze knockoff, or like Trailblaze Swords Dance, especially if we're putting on a ton of pressure on the Goldango, it can kind of set up to that +2, +1 end game.
So I'm thinking we probably don't need Trailblaze because if we get +1, we're still revenged by Boulder, and at neutral we're still faster than everything else. He has a big speed break there.
Outside of Azelf, yeah.
I mean, Azelf I'm not really too worried about necessarily. But yeah, I think you could go for like a spike-centric idea. But at the same time, right?
Doesn't this guy just 2 KO everything?
Are we bringing a spin blocker? No, I don't think so.
Well, and my thought process is too, like, if this guy's getting a free turn on a force out, I should either predict the force out and, like, you know, if like I force out Swampert, I should probably just Ivy Cudgel predicting the, you know, Wheezing to come in. Or I should just knock off. Or well, I'm saying like I could spike, but don't I already do enough damage to force progress with Ogre alone, or do I need the spike long term?
I think a spike will go a long way. Maybe if you don't see the Tentacruel, then you want to prioritize spikes, and if not, or if you do see the Tentacruel, maybe you prioritize just hitting things. I think having spikes is probably worthwhile. It's just this last slot between knockoff, something like that.
Well, another issue too is obviously Tentacruel spins, but Wheezing can also defog if that ends up coming in. If it comes, it's...
But that's always 3 Dialgos, I think. Like, that's not even a bad thing for us. And then something else is benched. So, yeah. I think play with this slot. We'll put knockoff for now. I think. Do we want knockoff? You could also put U-turn in this slot. Not that slot, but the other one. If the Goldango's there... no, I actually like having knockoff, I think. Yeah, I think this is right.
Because knockoff covers other annoying switch-ins too. You know, things like wheezing.
May as well creep 100, unless you want to go adamant and only creep the Kyurem. We could greed that a little bit, I think.
Yeah, what does Toad Scroll super threaten me? Or like,
No.
yeah, we creep the Kyurem because it also covers him creeping down a Croak, which he did before.
We didn't do that the first time? Ass.
Thanks, man. You definitely saw that immediately too. Fuck you.
Yeah. So I think this is a cool offensive like combination here. And then this, I think we probably just do go something like basic like this. Maybe some speed, but we can... Let's see. What do we need speed for?
I thought the things that were going to outspeed me were going to outspeed me. Right?
Yeah.
Like like it's the same idea of like, if Ho wants to outspeed me, it's going to. I'm not gonna go timid max to tie that. If Goldango wants to outspeed me, that's fine. That's why I really like Choppity, because I also cover Focus Blast on that guy. But I also don't think he ever really wants to run that. I think Ghost Steel is just good neutrally, and he doesn't have to give up a move slot for Focus Blast. He's never gonna click. But it's either gonna be super fat and not outspeed me, or it's going to be, outspeed me anyways, because I'm not going super fast. I'm not creeping Goldango.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, on a build, like, and again, I'll probably tweak the bulk. I want to make sure I can live Kyurem hits and things like that, because this is also kind of my don't lose to Kyurem guy.
Okay, so
at the moment,
real quick, I actually made a mistake in the earlier just figuring out what his spread was. I think I had timid in the builder when I looked at what the speed is trying to cover. It hits 224, which is a lot slower than I thought it was. What is that covering?
Is it covering
defensive Dialga, I think, right?
Is that no speed Dialga?
Yeah, it is. So maybe we just throw a little bit into speed, cover that thing, and that's all good.
Okay. And then my next question, though, is on this build. Again, I know we had it last time. Is something like Scarf Flutter kind of mandatory right now?
As like just revenge killing Iron Boulder, I think it might be. Right? Because what's your other options into Iron Boulder? Like Chopple Crook, maybe? But then if it's
I remember
again,
trying that.
That's tough.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember trying that in the actual games. It like I can technically roar it out. Like I think I was like EQ knock roar rocks, Choppleberry like defensive max fizz def. But one, it's not good into a lot on the team, unfortunately. A lot kind of just smokes it. But I get caught on the CC on the switch in. If it's banded, if it's whatever, I just don't really deal with it all too well. Scarf Flutter just felt like the most consistent way of never just raw losing to Boulder, whether it be like choice band, whether it be
for sure. Throw a T-Wave on there. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. I had Power Gem in last.
Oh, Power Gem, yeah, makes sense.
I think having like in the 1v1
something for the Ho-Oh. And
is it gonna get clicks? Probably not. But like if it's end game, Kyurem Black and Ho-Oh are the last two guys, you know, I can click Power Gem.
Your other option would be like booster, calm mind kind of thing. One-time check to Boulder, but then it's more threatening offensively, kind of.
I'm wondering though how worrying that it like more threatening offensively, but like also I'm bringing it in positions where I have to attack. So is it that threatening offensively?
I think I'd rather be Scarf overall. Same reasons as before, especially on this team, which doesn't really have good defensive checks to things. You want an offensive check to things.
We're not even Choppleberry Dialga anymore, right? So like +2 CC from like fighting is gonna kill me.
Yeah.
I can probably EV to live +2 non-fighting because Dialga's broken, but
probably, yeah. Iron Boulder isn't that strong. Then the last move, is it Energy Ball for Swampert? Is it what
I think last time what did I have? I think I had Memento, just because it gave me another like screens quote unquote option to set up with Quack. But I
set
don't think that
option.
helps this team in
No,
particular.
we're not aiming to set up here.
Um,
They just attack, you know?
it can be Thunderwave in the sense of like, I bring this in and again. If he's like a fairy typing, I don't actually kill him with Flutter, but if I can T-Wave him,
And
we
now
can probably
these
do this first.
guys,
And like
yeah.
Dialga can outspeed it, Quaquaval can outspeed it.
Well, I don't think
things like
Dialga
that.
can. Like 236 is not very quick. You need to hit 260. What was it, 4 or something to outspeed it? That's what we calced. So
Yeah.
Quaquaval
So our
would
Mew will
outspeed
outspeed
it.
it.
Good enough.
Our Ogre will outspeed it.
Yeah,
So
these
it gives us ways
more
of
than
killing it
enough, yeah.
afterwards.
Okay, so what does this 5 need? So Ho-Oh
Something
comes
I
in.
felt
What do
like
you
last
do?
time.
You know?
Something I felt last time that I'm noticing with this team too. I know it was like a Spadef AV set, but it was adamant with a little bit of attack. I didn't switch in a Swampert in this game. Like I didn't have an answer to it. Now I don't think that's Shaman, because Shaman's really bad here, like super bad here. But it is a problem that I noticed personally. Like I really, really did not like switching into Swampert, and I think this team is the same. Like look at the move Earthquake into this team.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you drafted Ground Resist, Rotom Heat, basically.
Hey, you got Shaman too.
Yeah,
That guy clutched up in semis. He's the goat.
So true, so true.
But yeah, Swampert, I think, like, obviously Shaman is a great response, but Shaman's unbringable. Like, I don't even think really entertaining him. This is a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, some E-button to, like, get into the Mew. Again, like, more offensive momentum, or, like, E-button to get into Quack. We could also go, like, some Healing Wish, get Dialga Second Life, but outside of that first one, not the greatest position, but I don't know, maybe some eject button, because that was, like, the hardest thing for me in this game, was I really did not switch into Swampert at all during the game. I think I was just leaving in my Dialga and Dragon Pulsing.
Yeah,
because I knew it was an Earthquake, and I was like, ah, shit, I can't do anything.
I think we could be a little bit more lax with our Ogerpon HP on a team like this, where if it's going to flip turn on something, may as well be the Ogerpon. At least you don't allow the Kyurem Black in. But I think that's probably okay. And then you have Horn Leech, right? You can recover stuff off. You can get spikes on that thing. That's good progress. You know, it's not even that terrible. So, and also, you now have Choice Band Quack. Giga Drain on this guy is going to help a lot. So, like, it's not like we're, you know, super weak to Swampert. Even, like, if we're Dracoing immediately as he switches to Swampert, we're just getting right
I mean,
back
if
out
that
into
works out
Ogerpon.
that way...
Yeah, we'll see how the
really
mocks
good.
go, but I think we're probably fine into Swampert.
Okay.
I'm more so concerned about, okay, Ho-Oh comes in, what do you do? But then I was looking at, and like, Quaquaval maybe will outspeed, hard to say, but Ogerpon, that guy's cooked. Mew, cooked. Fluttermane can just power gem, you know, it's not going to kill, but it's going to do a lot. And Dialga, you know, we can get rocks up, we can eject pack, it's not the end of the world, it's not going to do big damage to us, so we're not necessarily threatened, necessarily. But what else is like a struggle here? I think so far everything is really aimed at weakening that Goldango, which is key for the Quaquaval. So not so worried about that. Maybe Iron Boulder. If it is like a similar Scarf Terra Blast Fairy kind of thing, this team really struggles with that kind of thing.
Weezing is the only potential answer I can see on the roster too, is like Scarf Boulder kind of answer, but even then,
Yeah.
is that a pocket monster that's great here?
Well, you could
Not
do
really.
some interesting
Maybe like
things.
some T-Spike stuff, like...
Yeah, there's that option, but also I'm not too big on T-Spikes here necessarily. Because, okay, think about it, Kyurem Black could be Boots, Goldango's immune. Boulder it doesn't really matter, that chip. It would matter a lot on Swampert and Grimmsnarl if it comes. But outside of that, I'm not really too worried about T-Spikes if I'm him. But what you could do is neutralizing gas away the regen if you need that Ho-Oh low.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Sorry, you cut out for me. You said neutralizing and
you
then
could
like
neutralizing gas.
gas.
Neutralizing gas into the Ho-Oh, prevent regen if you want. You could prevent the Goldango from, you know, blocking your Will-O-Wisp or something like that, whatever it is. So maybe Weezing is not that bad here, but maybe you want a Crook or something instead. I don't know, Crook doesn't solve the Terra Blast Fairy problem, but it is just another nice piece to have, I think. So it's hard to say.
Well, yeah,
If you bring the Crook,
that,
you can
that
free
was
up that Dialga slot to be Power Gem or something like that. T-Wave.
well. That's what I was thinking. Again, I think Crook was like 6-member last time, and like EQ knock rocks roar. I think it has to be roar, or it's just gonna get set up on by like Kyurem, Boulder when it tears, things like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem bad, and I do like spreading knocks. Again, if he does go that boots approach, we now have like rocks plus like guaranteeing he doesn't have that.
We have rock
kind of
spikes.
option.
We have 2 knocks. Like, not that bad. But I'm just really worried about that Boulder, because that was the thing that swept us in the end game last time, and this team looks like it could happen again.
Well, I think part of the issue is my Dialga would have like at least soft checked it, especially because John didn't ever get up any hazards into me. Now, there's also contingent that he just doesn't get up hazards into me again. But like defensive Tribal Dialga can soft check that, right? I don't think I have anything on my team that consistently takes that on. Like just like over the entire game has it locked up in jail. But he has to lock and early in the game, at least for the first couple entry points. At least once, the Dialga can kind of lock him up in that regard and always switch in. And I know with physical defensive investment, like I don't remember exactly what the EV spread was for last time on Dialga, but I'm sure I take CC into CC if he's not baited, like pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
So I force him out again, and then beyond that, we can kind of, so I don't know. That's why I had that chop hold Dialga originally, because I felt so weak to Boulder. And this team is obviously kind of the same right now.
Here's an idea, right? Eject button wheezing.
Okay.
So what we want here is to switch into the Boulder. This is that, and we don't lose momentum by them like having a free Goldango or like a free anything. But
It's
maybe
nice in the
this could
scarf,
be it.
but what I worry about is like any kind of setup variant.
Yeah, he sets up on the switch to wheezing, then you take a hit, eject button out. That's poverty.
Yeah.
But then Fluttering can come in most of the time. It's probably okay.
Depending on the Terra typing, though, I mean, Boulder's naturally bulky. I don't think
Also,
Fairy. That
just do
was
this.
one of the issues is I don't O-coat with Moonblast, right? Like I do in fighting. Obviously I can Fairy Sludge Bomb him, but I don't know. It's tough. Like SD taunt, SD sub. Obviously he can kind of like sub my face. Like depending on the Terra typing, he could also very viably go Steel here, in my opinion. I don't think Steel is bad at all. Because I've seen a lot of Terra Steals in general in mocks and like I'm not sure in practice, but I see a lot of Terra Steals in mocks because it's just the best Terra typing for my 2 Ubers, right? They just kind of get locked up. So things like that do kind of worry me, like SD taunt, SD like sub, SD Steel kind of thing.
But what are we actually gonna do about it? Because I think if we bring Wheezing, it's probably gonna have fire coverage anyways. I'm not 100% too worried about that.
Well, it's also a matter of how much does Flamethrower even do to Boulder, though, if he's bulky. I think that guy might be able to set up a couple SDs on us.
Yeah. I mean, even if it does, you're putting it in chipping it in range of like Aqua Jet, Scarf Flutter.
I guess it's true. It's kind of like how much.
That's
I
what
guess
the helmet's
that's fair.
for.
With Scarf Flutter, yeah. Cleave. Does Cleave make contact? Remind me. Does Cleave make contact? It does. Okay. I know some of the other.
Ivy doesn't. Ivy's broken.
Ivy, yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wheezing, and if we're bringing Wheezing, it might as well have T-Spikes, just to have it at this point. Like, it's not the main function of the team or anything, but if you can get them up, it's probably worth clicking. And then what else are we going to have? Do we want Fire Blast or Flamethrower? I think Flamethrower, it's a little bit
consistently
easier. Because we're not getting Fat Goldango.
Flamethrower Sludge Bomb isn't... Yeah, and Flamethrower Sludge Bomb is not a bad combination of moves here, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Just fish for poison, the proc chance versus Ho-Oh. I mean, it'll go a long way. Ho-Oh doesn't really kill you back unless it's, like, mixed, which is probably strange into this team. Maybe, like, Overheat I could see for Dialga or something like that, but you probably have better options if you're Ho-Oh.
You can also just take the hit from Dialga and switch after you Sacred Fire and do 30%,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to, like, do anything super tech-wise. If anything, you probably want the burn chance on everything so that you can not get blown up by random stone edges.
We could try something like this. If it's a little bit too passive for the team, then we could maybe try the Crook angle. But for now, I think the Boulder switch in You know, something to chip the Swampert flip turns as well. I think fitting a Rocky Helmet on there is really nice for these guys if he takes a similar approach, right? Able to flip flip turn into this. Maybe it's a little bit better. Maybe we go for Levitate if we want to switch in on Swampert a little bit easier, because like we said, no ground switch in. So is it worth really pivoting this in on a Ho-Oh regen or something like that, trying to block it? Maybe a little bit silly in the first place, so I think Levitate probably makes more sense. Especially since we're not necessarily trying to wisp anything like the Goldango. Like Pain Split will be blocked, but it's fine.
In low-key, if we can find that opportunity, right, so say he Earthquakes, right, because my team just doesn't have a ground resist right now. Say he Earthquakes, and again, I think it's also a valid thought to be like, oh, he brought up the Ho-Oh enemy, it's probably going to be Newt Gas to block the Ho-Oh, Goldango, you know, the things we literally just said.
Yeah.
If he thinks he can EQ, like, get the free turn in, well, T-Spikes might not be the focus. T-Spike for Boulder
free. Yeah.
is actually pretty nice. I know it's not like, you know, what's going to save us into Boulder, but the idea is like Boulder comes in, we get any other hit off on it, and T-Spike her up, we have the Quack Revenge with Jet.
Totally reasonable.
Pretty much consistently, unless he's water, which I also don't think is very good, to be honest with you. But
I'm just looking at this fourth slot on Weezing, because Pain Split is cool and all, but maybe
I was thinking maybe Haze.
Clear Smog as well. Yeah, Haze as well.
I was thinking Haze potentially for like sub DD Kirums and things like that were potentially really, really scary, because that guy can also just kind of bully us because we're Weezing.
Yeah.
Potentially. So that was another thought I had. Is that also if it is like Terra Steel Boulder, right? Like we flamethrower the first time in SDs, then we Haze the second time.
You're probably gonna be okay. Yeah.
You can ensure it's not at +2, I guess, though. I mean, which means Dialga, if it's healthy enough, can take a hit. I don't know. It's a matter of, like, do we think we're ever pain splitting here? I don't know if I ever am.
Yeah, maybe not. So I think this probably works here, and we can try out this team. But now I want to build around that, like, setup Quaquaval. So this is one idea. And then BBL, we'll call this SD Quack version. And this one will take a little bit less time because it's already been 52 minutes since I started recording. But that's okay. So we're going to have Dialga.
Welcome to the 2-part series.
Yeah. Flutter, Mew. That's not Mew.
I don't want him. Please take him off my team.
Yeah. We're going to have the Quack for sure. But then after that, you know, we might play around with it. Okay, so Quaquaval is going to be Lum SD on this. By the way, Moxie. Did I put Moxie on the other one? I did not.
Maybe we want the torrent rolls.
Yep.
He's double checking the shit now too.
Yeah. Okay, but this one would be
Step, CC,
Jet, SD.
Yeah, same moveset as last time, but just probably more bulky.
And I think we can do the same EVs, right?
Maybe more bulk. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it could
but
be
it's also a matter
as well.
of like
you could also go something. It doesn't need to be max attack necessarily.
Yeah.
You could also look at something.
Well, I mean,
like,
we can play around with it and see like what hits we need to live and things like that.
Let's
like
call
random
it,
dazzling gleams from Goldango and shit
call it,
like that.
Bold max Goldango, Quaquaval, SD +2. It is already adamant, so Aqua Step to it KOing this maybe is a good thing to have.
The damage rate point we need, yeah.
Yeah, I mean 98.8%. We can be a little greedy with that. 91%. Like, it's unlikely that it's going to be this spread anyways. But I think...
Well, and if we fit rocks, we could also just do after rocks, you know, if it's non-lefties.
Yeah, like 91% to 2-hit KO. I'm perfectly happy with that. And that's what? 116?
Yeah, this is a ton of bulk, actually.
Yeah, like so much bulk. And then we want to hit that same boulder idea, but here we're actually, like, pushing for the EVs, right?
Yeah, to get more.
So, boulder... 144 we said, so 528 divided by 2, 264, so 265. Yep, I had it right. Now it would be something like this potentially. You SD on the switch to Goldango, and then you Aqua Step as he T-waves or something, Lumberry procs, and you Aqua Step to it KO that thing, and now you're looking really nice because you're +3, +2. He's gonna have some problems. He's gonna have big problems.
I mean, maybe not immediately, right? Guys like Weezing if they come, but I mean, if Weezing doesn't come and you set up on the Goldango and just kill that guy, I mean,
in that sequence we're full HP. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what do you call it? Isn't gonna hit us.
Strange Steam doesn't Oko. If it wisps you, it's still taking a +3 Aqua Step into a burned Aqua Step, which is like plus 1.25 or whatever, you know? It's still a strong hit. So how are we gonna support this guy? That's what I wanna know. What are our setup opportunities?
That's what I was gonna say. We have Pokemon like Swampert. I mean, that's also assuming AV Swampert, Yawnpert obviously can kind of stop that. We can set up along the likes of we can set up on Goldango, obviously. With the Lum potentially, but that was the main issues I had last time, right? Is we were like offensive SD, but at the same time,
you know,
nothing. We didn't really set up on anything without screens.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the issue I'm looking at right now. Is like, sure, we can set up on passive guys like Swampert, but that's really about it. That's the only Pokemon I can consistently, and even then, not consistently, because if it's Yawn, if it's Yawn, I do, because I'm Lum.
Lum, yeah.
Yeah, I just Aqua Step, and then I'm probably good.
Roar would be the one we're worried about.
Yeah,
I think aiming to set up on Swampert is probably reasonable. But we SD at flip turns, and now what? Boulder's coming in, something like that, to Terra.
Yeah.
Maybe not an instant win. And then even in that case, Kyurem would be faster. A Ho-Oh would be faster.
You can flip turn out and make the offensive play from there, yeah.
So honestly, really looking at it, the set doesn't even work, you know? Like, what are we setting up on?
Yeah, and I think that's why we were screens last time. Like, screens was Sorrento. And that's why I felt like I got smoked, just because I didn't have those screens. And then, like, my entire game plan was like set up with Ogre, which is Ogre has the same issue, right? Setting up SD in my opinion, other than like Sturdy, or setting up with Quack. So maybe it is testing Team 1. And going from there, because
it might be
the build around SD Quack doesn't seem great. Obviously we can check in the middle of the week. I'll probably start taking mocks for this tomorrow. So
yeah, because I feel like maybe this like screens Chungus kind of thing might have been just lazy building. It's like the middle of the season, you know, we'll just kind of bring this.
Well, I think part of it was even like panic, because I mean, this obviously, I don't think this is like an unwinnable matchup at all when I say this, but it's definitely not my favorite one. I've had some other pretty comfortable ones.
Does have some cool ideas, right?
Yeah, and again, we'll see in testing if some shit just simply does not work, like at all. So I'm also wondering. Something I'm worried about is John tries to punish us aggro creeping, knowing that we have his pace last time. I'm wondering if things like this Quack will get punished in that regard, but we'll see.
I mean, how's he gonna punish it? Just max speed
like
Boulder?
Max speed Boulder, yeah.
I mean,
I guess. Which I guess that makes it easier to revenge. Yeah.
If he does that, then cool. You know, congratulations. We don't need to stay in to even risk it. We have the Fizdef Rocky Helmet Wheezing.
Yeah,
that's kind of what he's there for. Plus, if there's T-Spikes up and we're giving it Rocky Helmet chip, you know.
Yeah, he's basically dead again the next time. Yeah.
I think this team does have potential, but if we were to build a second team, what would it be around if not SD Quack?
I don't think that the flood idea was terrible. I think that was like pretty okay. Booster? Yeah, like the booster Calm Mind wasn't a terrible idea. It does require a lot of chip on a lot of things, though.
Yeah, it does.
And some of these SD turns are or these Calm Mind turns are kind of impossible in a lot of his offense. Guys like Kyurem Black and Ho just kill me every time. Guys like Iron Boulder kill me. Guys like Goldango probably just kill me, or put me damn near there. Plus, we always have like the threat of Grimmsnarl T-Wave, right? So I don't know if Calm Mind is even viable option. I think maybe some kind of, I think an initial early idea I had in the first matchup was like some kind of DD Mew. Again, Lum. Either Lum or like some kind of Terra Dark, because it also avoids Grimmsnarl. Picture T-Waving me, which was kind of also a considering factor for the Nasty Plot variant last time. So maybe some kind of Terra Dark Dragon Dance variant. Not 100% sold on that, or not Terra Dark and just like Lum or something like that. But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm just less confident in that sort of thing than I am with something like this.
Our original idea.
Yeah. So I think instead of building a second team this time, we're gonna just test this one and see what works and what doesn't work, and we'll refine it a little bit after that.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I think
for sure.
we're going to take a pause break now. We're going to let you mock a few times against some people, and then we'll look at some of the replays and stuff and go from there. So this has been an hour already. This is going to be a movie.
It's really good that we... Yeah, it's really good we did not build another team.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think this could definitely work. Like, the momentum is there. There's the abuser here is really strong, right? Especially with like rocks up. You know, Aqua Step he does not enjoy switching into at all. So we have our big button clicker. We have some smaller but still big buttons. We have
and just I know we obviously didn't say it explicitly out, but at least the way I'm understanding this team, this is the lead Dialga team. Yeah.
Is it? What's our lead here?
That's what I was thinking. I thought lead Dialga was smart. If we see lead Pert, can I not just get a Draco into Weezing? Pretty comfortably.
You could, yeah.
Lead Pert.
I think that's fine, yeah. Lead Dialga.
Because if you flip turns, I mean, he's basically dead even if he is AV.
Yeah, like
what's
a bad matchup for Dialga? You just stay in versus everything.
Yeah. Goldingo, I flamethrower.
Huron, you could Draco or rocks. He probably has to get out of there, so just rock up.
Now, I do have a question on that Ho-Oh matchup. I stand in rocks. That second turn, do you think harding out is the play, or do you think it is just eating the double Sacred Fire and getting the Draco momentum out to get into something offensive?
Just get the Draco off. Like, we don't switch into Ho-Oh too easily, but the good thing is pretty much everything threatens it besides Weezing, and even Weezing is Sludge Bomb poison. It doesn't want to stay in and risk that all the time.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably be okay.
Yeah, okay.
You do have to play this offensively, though. Like,
oh yeah,
Dialga's not going to stick around for a long time necessarily.
No, that's why I thought it was good on lead in the sense of like.
I agree.
I don't put myself in a terrible position no matter what he has. And again, the double ferret, like there's no Draco block in this game. Like the Grimmsnarl and Weezing can come in. They're just gonna get O code the turn after. So
yeah. So let's try that. Lead Dialga and see what happens. You know, play it offensively. Try to get some good Aqua Step turns in. Yeah, we'll see. All right, we're gonna pause here and let you go do that.
Cool.
All right, we have returned. I think yeah, we've done some mocks with the team. I'm gonna show one mock from the first day and then a few mocks from the next day after we made a few changes. All right, so here's the first one against the Carkle Rider, and this is the team as described before. Now, all right, we get to see the Terra preview in this league. So we see Terra Rock Boulder, which indicates it's probably going to be Choice Band. Now, that's something you would run, or Choice Scarf, something choiced, right, with Terra Rock makes the most sense. Again, we see Dialga lead, Draco Meteors into the Swampert, does a lot, able to eject back out of there into the Ogrepon.
Shows pretty offensive part, too.
I think we did discuss going Weezing on the Swampert initially in this situation, but we did that in a few earlier mocks, and the lines just don't really work out too well. Like, you get the T-Spike up, but then, you know, your Weezing's basically dead afterwards.
Exactly. And especially for this team at HLC, the what do you call it? The Boulder's a big problem, so taking any damage on Weezing means, even if it's Scarf, I get kind of rolled by it.
Right here, Dialga comes in, gets the rocks up, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, make it rain, and now rocks go up. This is good.
It is slower, too, so we're correct about that. You know, speed creep wise too. He's not super fast
now,
on it.
Flamethrower on Ho-Oh, and now he's scouting for the rock move here, I think. We just go for Draco, it's the strongest move we have. But there's no eject pack anymore, and we don't have a good switch in here.
Yeah, my thought process there with Draco was at least forcing him to a recover turn.
Yeah.
Because I don't switch into Ho-Oh right now with this team. And I think that's something, even in the next couple mocks after we make some changes, we kind of see some issues in the sense of like, Dialga's kind of my pivot into Ho-Oh, but I also don't beat it with Dialga at all right now. So
like here, we forced the recover, and then a flip turn is going to do a lot of chip to this thing, as I think we just sack off the Dialga, right? Yeah, T-Bolt.
It's mostly scout for like T-Bolt, Gleam, or random Thunderwave, right? Because I don't kill defensive there from full.
Yeah, but this is exactly what we wanted with the game plan, right? Goldingo at half. This is exactly what we need for our Aqua Step. So the only thing after this for Aqua Step to sweep is just that Kyurem Black, which rocks are up, so that's about as good as you can hope for, right? And here, Ogrepon's going to force a KO, which is nice.
Nice
Yeah.
little knock. Horn Leech. I mean, in hindsight,
Horn Leech was fine
Ivy
initially.
Cudgel, yeah, but. Mhm.
Yeah, like Ivy on the Ho-Oh is fine, but yeah, either way, it doesn't make a big difference. Now Weezing comes in and just gets blown up by Choice Banded Terra Rock. Like even with this
It's
like
not even close.
quote unquote dedicated switch in, you know.
And it gets off helmet chip, you know.
And notice in the chat, I'm going to shoot Weezing with a gun.
Yeah, I
This
was not
Pokemon
happy with
sucks.
Weezing's performance tonight. Yeah, it was not great. This is another change actually too that we should mention. Not being able to revenge Terra Rock from here was really frustrating. So we ended up in the first part of the video we talked about Thunderwave as that last slot in Fluttermane. We changed it to Evil because like not only is it kind of cool for Swampert, but not being able to kill Rock from there is not good.
Yeah, so
because
we
I
made
just
that
sacked my
decision.
Scarfer.
Yeah, now Aqua Jet has to come out, but now we're locked into Aqua Jet. He doesn't know that necessarily, so he still goes Weezing. He doesn't go KB, which is nice. But now Mew can come in on this, and now we still have our Terra Stellar available. It's gonna one-shot this Weezing with Psychic. Like, this is something I noticed, like, in the replays that you sent me. The Terra Mew seems really good at end-game situations, not so much in the mid-game. Like, in this situation, like, we can just Power Gem the Ho, get massive chip off. We even live any hit from Brave Bird at this range, and here you switch. I'm not sure exactly why here. I guess it's to cover, like...
yeah,
the
it's to
scale
cover
shot?
not losing... So I didn't want to lose to DD Kirim.
Or, like, scale shot revenge killing, yeah.
Yeah, DD Kirim came in, DD'd and won. So my thought process was going Quackleval, sacking it / flip turning if he doesn't want to try and kill it, he wants to try and set up with his Kirim. And then from there, I can go into Ogerpon. Again, does it still lose to Chardy? Yes, but I know that my Mew cannot beat it. So I figured this was my best path to an endgame victory. I don't know if that's me overplaying, but if it is just DD, Scale, Spear, maybe Fusion Bolt, I don't know, probably Earth Power, but I mean, Scale probably just kills Quack too.
When I was watching this, I was like, if that's Scarf Cure in Black, you just kind of self-goobed yourself. But if it's anything else, this was correct. You know what I mean? So you can't cover for everything. You chose to cover what you thought was the most likely in that situation. So, cool. Worked out. But you see, this wasn't exactly easy. It's not exactly smooth sailing. So we made a few changes. Now, we did mention already the E-Ball on the Fluttermane, as you can see here. And what else did we change? The Weezing is now a Crocodile. Now this gives us a nice rock resist, a pseudo ground resist, right? Because the team outside of it doesn't really switch it on ground. In one mock there was like a choice banded Terra ground Iron Boulder, which would have gotten a KO every single time it came in, if not for this Weezing, or not Weezing, the Crocodile, which can intimidate it. And like the Earthquakes are doing 36% with choice band, like it's very thick.
And knockoff in general is really nice here. Anything that wants to switch on a knockoff is great, and even forcing in things like Weezing if Weezing comes is great for Mew entry points too, in my opinion, right?
Mew,
like getting Mew
Dialga,
in
they all come in on that Weezing. It's all good. And then one other thing we wanted to change is Dialga here. This Flash Cannon slot, I think we're going to change to Power Gem, and you're going to see why in these upcoming replays that I've chosen to show you guys. Also, this Quaquaval I think is a little bit slower now because the actual defense EVs do make a difference on a few important roles. So we're not like...
It makes Terra Ground EQ more likely to not kill us. It does not make it guarantee not kill us, but it takes us from like a 30% chance to like a 20% chance, and it's just... It's
worth it.
That's a tangible difference because I did lose a Quaquaval in one mock to Choice Band Terra EQ from full, like from absolutely full. Because John hasn't really, or John, I'm not playing John yet, but the people in mocks with John's team haven't really found many opportunities to rock up in a lot of these games. So
yeah, which is nice. It's good that that's a consistent thing. But anyways, let's look at this replay here. Let me adjust my thing back. All right. So here we see an Azelf this time. So Azelf probably going to be a lead versus a team like this. So this is going to be like, okay, he's going to get the rocks up. What are we going to do about it? Notably, there's no Grimmsnarl. There's no what else though. What else was a problem here? The Swampert, right? So no Swampert.
Yeah, which makes, if it's like that AV set, it makes this Draco even more free.
Yeah, so Dialga leads off. We saw in some mocks people were taunting, like for example right here. And so the Eject Pack Draco makes a lot of sense into like a a hazard lead Azelf with like taunt, stealth rock, boom, that kind of thing. Because you're able to just go hard into Flutter Mane, and now what's the switch into Shadow Ball? There's no resist, so it's like a free hit versus a team this team of 6, so it's very nice. And now Dialga's able to switch on pretty much anything Hoa wants to go for it. Even this burn, you're gonna be able to get rocks up here, and it's like perfectly fine. Sure, Dialga dies, but I mean, it basically got its 1-for-1 plus rocks, you know? Flame Charge
here is really annoying. Yeah. Kind of puts me in an uncomfortable spot. I do go Ogerpon. I kind of have to risk a burn here. I mean, I'd still do ridiculous damage otherwise, but you know, not something we want to risk. Taking on the Ogre, but don't get super punished. The Flame Charge kind of rolls were a little unfortunate. But
I'm a little curious if maybe you could have gone Crocodile there and saved the Sturdy on Ogerpon, because his lead rocker didn't get rocks. So keeping the Sturdy could have been useful. But also, like...
I wanted to keep it for the boulder was my main thing. Is I
either
to keep
way,
it, like...
you're risking a burn, but Crook, you don't really care as much if it gets burned, and you can also knock, which doesn't rely on you being like big damage. Getting rid
I
of
can
the
knock into roar
boots,
at worst case too.
Yeah. Like it's bouncing off. You're like max Fizz Def almost. But now Ogerpon's in a situation where you kind of have to sack it here to Shadow Ball. And now Quaquaval comes in. This is chipped Goldango. This is exactly the situation we wanted, right? So Aqua Step is going to come out. But this is like max defense with Black Sludge. So it is able to take 2. And now Pain Split's on the Mew. So Mew entry point. And now you can Terra Stellar Psychic. And it's just completely free here. Knocks out the Wheezing.
Terra Stellar Psychic into whatever Terra Stellar coverage move he had, I've noticed, is like just really, pretty much good. A KO on everything. Yeah, like other than Grimmsnarl. So if Grimmsnarl comes, not so much, but literally other than Grimmsnarl, this like combination of coverage moves is really strong. And even then, Grimmsnarl coming in taking like a Stellar Flamethrower, it takes a lot, especially if it's like
not exactly a free switch.
Yeah. No recovery too.
But anyways, now Boulder comes in.
This is water.
Yeah, I was thinking you could have gone Crocodile here, but also Giga Drain's fine, you know? But now you have to go Crocodile hard on an attack rather than the SD. I'm thinking maybe if you were like Foul Play, it would be easier to go hard Crocodile on the SD turn. But here, I mean...
My thought process is I get the guaranteed chip off. I know I see booster speed, so I also know when Mew lives. Just like an Ivy Cut, or an Ivy Cudgel, a Mighty Cleave. And I can kind of just sack Crook, because like, while Crook is being sacked here, isn't really needed for anything else. I don't think I need it for the Goldango. I guess it's nice. This. Yeah. So I was fine with getting the damage off and then just literally sacking this guy because we have the Flutter Mane in the back, obviously.
Yes. So, I mean, it's fine. I was just wondering if maybe that was a better line because you do live a +1 CC from full. There's no rocks to deal with, so +1 CC would not KO you. You get Helmet Chip and you get like a Earthquake off or something like that. Like, it's a good time.
Foul Play might be nice. Foul Play might be nice in the sense, too, of, like, not allowing super free Kyurem setup, too.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe... Because based on the pace, you have, what, Stone Edge, Roar, Knock, Earthquake? You could put Foul Play over maybe Stone Edge. Because versus Hoa, you're perfectly fine to just knock it. And that's, like, that's fine. You can Roar it after as well, and it's taking 50% on entry. Like, that's certainly good enough. And then Kyurem Black, you'd rather Foul Play. So at that point, what's Stone Edge even for?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So we could try that out in the next few mocks. But yeah, now Moonblast going to KO this. Moonblast to prevent DD from Kyurem. It's better to allow Goldango to heal than a DD to happen in this situation. So yeah. Now Nasty pops up, but yeah, Terra Stellar boosted Flamethrower. Very strong. And now you can
and we
just
still haven't even
gem.
Burned our Power Gem, yeah. So like this is still a boosted Power Gem. This shows to be Scarf too. Which has been a little bit of an annoying set in mocks. It's like mixed Scarf. Just like Spear, Dragon move, Electric move, Earth Power has been kind of a little annoying. It's something we could definitely see too, right? If he's super worried about that, like Quaquaval getting up an SD and Aqua Step. I'm not going to get an SD in 2 steps, right?
Yeah, but also, like, if the Kyurem locks into anything that's not Fusion Bolt or Freeze Dry, it KOs something, but Quaquaval just comes in. He's forced out. He's locked into a move that does nothing. And so he's like panicking over SD or something like that. So he's going to switch, and he's going to get Aqua Stepped twice on something, and he's going to freaking die. Sack a Pokemon at least. And then Kyurem has to come back in, so that's 2 rounds of rocks already. Now Quaquaval's looking pretty nice.
And it's a force Fusion Bolt at that point, too.
Fusion Bolt or Freeze Dry, which if you have Dialga around, that can take both of those. Even Mew, I think, can take 2 hits from either one of those, as you can see here, 47, 49. I don't know if this is like max attack, that it might not be, but that's something to keep in mind as like potential lines to look for. Anyways, and then this is the last replay I'll show for now. We have you versus Jason, Diet Tight. Yeah, and now another Azelf lead. So we're gonna do the exact same thing with the lead Dialga, just Draco.
Yeah, this one isn't as optimal, unfortunately, because he does rock first opposed to taunt me. I think it's pretty aggressive. I think if you lead the Sash Azelf guy, you're probably gonna taunt me and stop me from rocking, especially with guys like KB in the back.
It's a little bit odd, this combination of like lead Azelf plus defog Wheezing. Like I think that's a little awkward in the builder, so it might not be the exact team structure that comes. But still, getting some practice versus these like Azelf leads, 2 different ways that it can go, right? Rocks or taunt. And here we like see the other end of that thing. But here Dialga's again able to trade rocks, but again, like you really wish you had Power Gem as the switch into Ho-Oh. So that's something that will be changed moving forward. But yeah, takes out the Azelf. So again, it still gets his 1-for-1 in rocks. It's just the rocks are up on your side now. Now, Earth Power from this Kyurem, it is boots, right? Reveals.
Yeah, it's her boots.
So it's free Ogerpon, Ivy Cudgel. I go for a knockup though, predicting the Goldango. It's perfectly reasonable.
And it gets rid of the helmet here too. Is my thought.
Quack.
Like no matter what, yeah.
Yeah, but now defog. Like, I don't understand why people keep bringing defog plus hazard suicide lead. It makes no sense to me. But hey.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit better value for me. But this is another pretty solid Mew position. I mean, look how much damage that does. This ends up being Scarf, but that's a good trade, right?
Yeah, you totally take this because now that's the CC immunity, and if Weezing goes down, I guess CC sweep is like not ever gonna happen, but still, it's 1 Pokemon down that you don't have to worry about. It's like the Fairy resist.
Oh yeah.
But here we see the Terra fight CC, but we're able to get off the forced Terra with this Crocodile and the Helmet chip. So now Fluttermane is always gonna KO it with Moonblast.
Switches you unfortunately have to click Moonblast.
Yeah, it's not a choice now. You're a little bit lucky, dodged the Hurricane. But I mean, it's not a big deal, right? Just a little bit extra chip on Boulder is the difference.
Yeah.
But now what? Now Quaquaval comes in for an Aqua Step, which is going to 2-hit KO the Weezing. Yep. Now he probably could go hard Weezing here. He probably could have gone Weezing, or not Weezing, Azelf. No, I'm
Kyurem after seeing that was banded, yeah. Maybe just wanting that free switch.
Yeah, but here
I went Flutter because I didn't want to let any scale shot shenanigans.
No, it totally makes sense, yeah.
Right? Like he can obviously kill me with a spear, but don't want to.
Makes the double. This is like the key play that wins you this end game, right? The Horn Leech on the switch to Boulder. Now you have your Sturdy back, you could just stay in and kill this, and then Ivy Cudgel KOs the other 2.
So this one was a little bit less smooth, not in the sense of like I didn't win comfortably, but I had to play a little bit more aggressively in this end game. Like I literally just lose unless I make those 2 plays correctly. First the double, and 2 the Horn Leech on the Boulder, and like getting back into Sturdy range. And that also shows the value of like having Horn Leech over Whip, because in a lot of these mocks I'm like, I kind of want Whip, I kind of want whatever, a little bit stronger of a grass move. But like it was nice for this niche scenario in particular. And again, he's like, okay, same shit could happen with Swampert, where like rocks go up, he sacks Pert to my guy, I get back to full, and then
now you live something.
Really nothing. Yeah, I get to either switch out if it's like a gold thing, or even just stay in a knock if I really need to. So
yeah, like getting chip on the Goldango is part of your game plan, right? So getting chip on that in exchange for Sturdy, that's not even that bad of a trade, right? Especially if it's like not Culverberry. You could potentially even just 2-hit KO with knockoff, although I think it is potentially worth trying out Stomping Tantrum because Culverberry is so likely, right? Because then I think Ivy Cudgel plus maybe Stomping Tantrum might even be like a 2-hit KO after some chip, so
depending on what
it
the
just
set is,
opens up those lines for you that maybe would be closed off on a Culverberry set. So we might try that out in a few mocks coming up. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Just a little bit of an update on the team, the direction it's going, and then update on this paste, right? A few changes. And then this is going to be Power Gem. Not that, but this is. Because Flash Cannon, Grimmsnarl doesn't really usually come in on you. And Weezing and stuff like that, you beat anyways. Like, it's not a big deal.
I could actually just flamethrower them on a mid ground, or
Yeah, one
power gem them
thing
on a mid
I'm
ground.
kind of interested in is maybe fitting Vacuum Wave on this Mew, because everything seems like it lives on like 20%, and that little bit of extra chip would go a long way the next turn on the follow-up. But I don't know what you exactly want to leave off here, right? Every move is like really impactful. So it's a
I
little bit
like
rough.
the Giga Drain too. If like, I was thinking maybe no Giga Drain because like there hasn't been as many opportunities to Giga Drain something like Swampert, but it's also really nice for Boulder because 3 of the typings we've seen pretty consistently are weak to Giga Drain.
Yeah, ground, rock, and water. And then fighting, you have Psychic for, like, it's not like you're
so being
helpless
able to
into
cover that and guarantee like do a shit ton of damage to it is
Mhm.
really nice. Considering Mew just lives a hit.
Yeah, I think if you
So-
took off anything, it might be the Psychic, but also that's been a really strong mid-ground. Like, Psychic into coverage move just smokes everything, so I don't know if you can justify a change, but it's just something that I've noticed, like, Vacuum Wave would have been useful if you had, like, 5 move slots, but I guess we don't have that, you know?
Yeah,
Also,
shout out to Mew.
these spikes have, like, not really been clicked too often, so, if you're, like, forcing a switch into the Goldango or something like that, and you don't see like a defog user or like spin or anything like that, maybe just go for spikes instead of just clicking Ivy.
Yeah,
It might
playing
be
it a little bit
worthwhile.
longer.
Yeah, going for like
Well,
the
I was
long
also thinking
condition.
potentially. I'm wondering if like there's even potential for a Trailblaze in that 4 slot. I don't know, to cover
Yeah, it totally could be.
those Scarfers or force in an early booster speed guy. Because it covers like the Scarf Curums that we've been seeing.
hmm
As well as just like giving me speed advantage on like non-booster Boulder. Like if it's like banded Boulder and that's like his best way of revenging me, if I get up a Trailblaze,
And he's cooked.
it's
Yeah.
kind of tough. Yeah, especially if we. And I don't think like the first time I come in I click something like that, but you know potentially later on.
Yeah, it would be
And
like
especially
a
if something
later
is being
game.
sacked. Yeah, and if something's being sacked to Ogre, like in that like mid to late game, it could totally give it an opportunity to just like absolutely bust through the team.
So yeah,
So.
a few changes to make, right? The foul play on Crook, the power gem on Dialga, and then outside of that, maybe this Ogerpon 4th slot could be different, but I don't know, Spikes is good too, you know? Just play around with it, see what you like. Alright, that's going to be all for now. We'll get back to you in the video for the next update, probably in a few days. A few more mocks, a few more edits, you know? Fill you in on the process, right? Alright, BRB. Alright guys, we're back with another update. So, a few of the changes, right? Dialga now has Power Gem like we discussed, an Energy Ball on the Flutter main. These things, I think the Energy Ball has mattered a little bit on like Swampert switch-ins sometimes on mocks, but then Power Gem is really nice, of course, for the Ho-Oh. Because a lot of times people are just electing to like stay in with Ho-Oh against Dialga. We get up rocks and then we get off a Power Gem, it's like really nice.
Okay, especially after we proc the eject pack.
Main 2 changes though since last time. This Quaquaval is now Life Orb, with instead of Flip Turn, we have Wave Crash. Now, why is this? So a lot of these endgames, right, we're able to get KOs with Aqua Step pretty comfortably, but then the Kyurem Black comes in, and like that's the main thing stopping Quaquaval from sweeping. So this kind of set though, as long as it's not Scarf Kyurem Black, that's no longer an issue for us. Right, so this set has been a lot more consistent in like winning endgames and stuff like that. It's something I wanted to try because Life Orb Aqua Step into Life Orb Wave Crash is actually stronger than 2 choice banded Aqua Steps. So I was like,
especially into things like Goldango Weezing, if we like need to kill them, mostly Goldango, right?
Yeah, Goldango, if it's like super physically defensive like bold Goldango, Aqua Step into Wave Crash is a KO after 1 spike. You know, it's like not even that much chip. So the power is still there in terms of like raw breaking, but also you have that option to switch up moves into like a Kyurem Black in the end game, which is like the only water resist that really tends to stick around for longer than like maybe 15 turns in the games. But anyways.
Yeah, and there were so many end games where it was like, I picked a step kill. I didn't need the ban to kill it. And if I could click close combat here,
you would
I
just
won.
win. Yeah,
so
this is a change I've been liking a lot over the next few mocks. And then what else? I think we're staying with the knockoff. I know we talked about either testing out stopping tantrum or something, but I think knockoff has been fine.
Yeah,
and then,
I like it for removing helmets into guys like Weezing if we need to attack into it later with Quaquaval, especially being that we are Life Orb now. Life Orb Wave Crash recoil, Life Orb recoil, Rocky Helmet recoil,
Mhm,
I'm kind
a
of
lot of
dead,
recoil.
unfortunately.
And then
Yeah.
the other change, right? Crocodile now has foul play in the last slot rather than Stone Edge, right?
Mhm.
Main reason being knockoff already one-shots Ho-Oh effectively, right? If rocks are up, so that's fine. And then foul play is really useful into like Terra Water, Terra Ground, Terra like Rock, all of these Iron Boulder sets. The only thing it's not great into is Fairy, but yeah, what can you do, right?
It also doesn't let what do you call it, Kirim set up super freely to +2. Now obviously I can roar it, but it's also nice in a 1v1 endgame to guarantee make sure it doesn't get off 2 DDs so that my Fluttermane can do a KO it or come in and revenge it, sorry.
Yeah, Roar has been pretty useful for like sub setup guys. Like a few people have brought like sub DD, sub Swords Dance, that sort of set on different Pokemon. So just having that phasing option has been pretty useful. But yeah. So I have one replay from the past few days, like day or two, I think. And let me just, there we go, reset my OBS. And so this is up against Slick Panther, who's like a great battler. And so it should be a good like testing mock, right? And this is with all the changes. So this one's going to be what, Terra Fairy on the Boulder, which I think
which is a good thing to test into, right? Because that's what beat us last time, and not a lot of people have brought that. So I've kind of told people to. I actually didn't tell Slick to bring it, but when people have asked me like, what should I bring? I'm like, try Fairy Boulder. Should I try Scarf Fairy Boulder? Or, you know, whatever it may be.
Or like,
I don't think this one was Scarf, but
this one was Booster SD, I think. But regardless, I think the games have been closest when it's like Terra Fairy Boulder, because that's the one that's best into Crocodile, right? Because Terra Blast doesn't proc Helmet and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a good neutral defensive typing into Fluttermane.
So we Dialga into Grimmsnarl. This is like really good. Here you get to see a fun interaction. So Parting Shot doesn't actually trigger Eject Pack here, which is a mechanic that I didn't even know was a thing, but I learned it like today. Right?
And you said it's because 2 Pokemon cannot switch out on the same turn, right? So
yeah,
Parting Shot just overrides that.
I looked it up, and it's this very similar mechanic to like U-turn into Eject Button, that sort of thing, where 2 Pokemon can't switch off of the same move. So Parting Shot, the Grimmsnarl switching happens before the Eject Pack would proc in the order of operations of the coding in the game. So the Grimmsnarl switches, and then it doesn't trigger the Dialga to switch, because they both can't switch off of one move. So,
oh yeah, 100%.
Cool interaction. Like, we get to keep our Draco for later with Eject Pack. So
and I figured obviously it's not worth popping a -1 Draco into a potential AV Swampert. So
yeah,
just
you'd
get
rather
hard
just
out
keep
play
it
a little bit better.
Makes sense. Now, Reflect into Spikes. Now, this is an important thing to notice, right? You see no removal, right? There's no Wheezing, there's no Toedscruel. If you see these 6, we obviously want to prioritize Spikes, and you made the correct call in this mock for sure. I was really happy to see this.
Yeah, and I spiked again. I spiked again here, which 2 spikes isn't like super ideal, but I wanted to get all 3 if he was gonna try and get up all 3, both screens, right? So I figured I'd just get more up. Trying to get that. I mean, not the best thing in the world, but
like if a light screen were coming that turn, you can get all 3 layers, which is like so impactful. So I really like going for the second layer here. I think it's totally reasonable. Now Dialga switches in on Goldango. This is perfectly fine, right? Make it rain as possible. 23%, right? And now what? Swampert comes in, but there's no light screen. So you can just go for a Draco. Yeah, you actually do predict the switch. Massive
I figured
damage.
-1, right? He doesn't know I'm Chople, or I theoretically should be faster too. Like, there's no reason he's going to stay in. So, and even if he does, okay, I could just switch it on a -1 Goldango instead of a neutral one. And it's probably clicking a Focus Blast if it is staying in.
At this point, I don't think we had any data on the Swampert, so we didn't know it was doing 75. It could have been that AV set as well that has been popping up from time to time in mocks, and also he brought it in the regular season, so it does 75, and now we get our Aqua Step KO potentially. So he's actually forced to switch out to try to not give us a Moxie boost, or like, I don't know. Now he has a sack for rocks later, which is going to be the same thing, denies the Moxie, and here he Parting Shots and does successfully deny the Moxie, but in the process, right, Grimmsnarl's taken like half HP in like just hazards alone, plus an Aqua Step. Like, this thing's basically dead at this point. It's dead to Aqua Jet.
I mean, yeah, it dies next time it comes in, which is great.
And now, even with Reflect Up, he feels a need to go into his booster energy guy and, you know, He wants to sword stance on the -1 quick wobble, which makes sense, but we have roar crocodile for this very reason, right? Right here.
Oh yeah.
Do you roar or do you earthquake? You roar, right? Because the screen's
I
up.
roar here, yeah, just because reflects up, there's no reason
Yeah.
not to. Gets me some great hazard drip, and forcing this Grimsnarl is like huge, right? Because now he doesn't have this sack later, or I mean, he doesn't have this living hazards later, right? So if he wants to get up a
Yeah.
reflect, it's now or never.
So it kind of forces him to, go earlier than he wanted to. And now Ho has to come in, takes rocks, which is huge. Now Sacred Fire is going to knock you out, of course, but now there's no light screen. You can just come in, Terra Stellar. It's actually Scarf Ho-Oh here, but even Scarf Ho-Oh, it's like a roll to 2 KO Mew. Yeah. Then Goldango comes in, probably Scarf, right? The way he's playing it, but no, it's actually super specially defensive instead.
Yeah, I mean, that even was potentially like just like an assault vest variant, like an offensive AV variant or something like that, because I think like max HP takes legitimately 70% from that Terra Stellar
flamethrower. Like flamethrower killing from 70. We've seen that so often. So yeah, lots of chip, and now what? You just go Quaquaval and win. Yeah, this is the advantage of Light Orb
the reflect doesn't matter. Yeah, the reflect just doesn't matter at this point. Too many hazards. And Wave Crash is also really clutch here too, and blowing up Boulder after the spike with the reflect up. If it is like a Boulder strat. I didn't actually even calc it. Obviously, it was just in a position where I don't really have to think about clicking.
Yeah,
August
right
versus Wave Crash,
obvious.
everything's dead.
Yeah,
100%. So now this one felt really good, and in general, all of the mocks today. I mean, I think I took like 6 or 7 mocks total today, from a bunch of different new builds and a bunch of different people that I haven't taken tests from yet, and we won pretty comfortably in most of them. So didn't lose any, and won very comfortably in most of them.
Yeah, there's a couple where it was like a little bit close, but most of them did look something like this, where you see the game plan going very smoothly, Either Quaquaval or you'll see a Scarf Flutter main sweep with Moonblast in the end game, because like the Moonblast resist, they tend to go down early, right? Ho-Oh and Goldango, they're like the main targets of a lot of our like techs. Like we have double power gem, Ogerpon.
Yeah, I've noticed most of these teams have kind of used Ho-Oh as that sponge into Dialga in the mid game, because what do you call it? Swampert coming in and taking a Draco makes it not a switch in anymore, right?
Yeah.
Or not like a great consistent one anymore, to where I can kind of offensively position. And again, everything kind of just smokes Swampert. And there's been some games where I've just knocked off Swampert and sacked some health on Crocodile in order to make sure that Dialga is just a KO every time it comes in. So
like,
definitely really nice.
This team, I think, is now the final version. I don't think we're going to make any changes to it. I'll just pull up this again so it's on the screen, but this does seem to be like the way forward in this matchup. So I think for the rest of the week, it's just going to be refresher mocks, making sure we stick to the game plan as much as possible, make it so that you have a lot of, practice with these sequences. Then once you get to the actual game, it's so easy. You've done all this before. And then I know there's going to be nerves, right? It's finals, but repetition is going to help with that.
And again, hopefully the game just plays itself, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And if we're prepared properly, we can run into some snags. And
you don't need to make many predictions, right? Dialga, you can usually just click the button that's straightforward most of the time and get massive value. The only like difficult calls are like the Flutter main early game click, and then like Ogerpon. Sometimes there's gonna be a like Ogerpon pivot.
Do I cudgel?
Yeah,
do I cudgel or do I horn leech kind of thing, or do I? Because I pretty much always knock the first time it comes in, So, and another nice thing about the slick mock too that I forgot to mention too is I was a little worried personally about playing into like, what do you call it, double fairy and either fairy, Boulder plus Wheezing, or fairy Boulder plus Grimmsnarl, or whatever it may be. I played a mock earlier today too where I played Wheezing, Grimmsnarl together, and I was pretty worried about having a Dialga quote unquote that can't hit them, but it was nice to see too that we're right in the sense of he can't ever make any kind of call that I don't have those or have flash cannon until I click all my moves, and very often by the time I click all of my moves on Dialga, it's pretty much dead anyways.
Yeah, it's so rare for Dialga to reel all 4 moves in any given mock here. So they can't ever be confident in going Wheezing or Grimmsnarl on the Dialga. That just doesn't make any sense. And even if they do, right, Flamethrower is doing a lot of damage to them, and we actually want chip on both of them. They're some of the only things that can stop the Quaquaval. So if we're gonna trade like a little bit of strange steam damage on Dialga for like a flamethrower on Weezing, hey, I'll take it, you know?
Oh, for sure. 100%. So yeah, team feels good.
Yep.
Also, not being able to hit Grimmsnarl super effectively hasn't mattered either, which is also really nice. Like not being able to fit like a Dazzling Gleam like I kind of wanted to.
Like on
clutch.
Mew?
Yeah. Like I was always worried about like offensive Mew that can't necessarily hit Grimmsnarl, but it's never been able to be used in that way.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Grimmsnarl is very good in general in the mocks that we've played. It kind of has gotten up a screen and died.
Yeah.
Every time, yeah.
Maybe something annoying could be like a Boots Grimmsnarl, because a lot of the pressure on that thing in mocks has come from Hazard, so maybe like get one practice game against like Boots Grimmsnarl just to make sure, but I don't know how likely that is to come, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's probably some kind of screens idea. In another mock I was thinking about taking too is someone mentioned like just testing if he goes like screens HO Chungus offense type beat, making sure I have my like, you know, pass kind of thought out into that kind of game plan and stuff like that. So I'll probably take that one as well tomorrow or Saturday. One of the two.
In theory, that's like a really tough sell into like Scarflutter main, you know, Roar Crocodile that really deals with a lot of his offense quite well. And
like for Jet.
Yeah. The built-in Focus Sash, the sturdy Ogre-Pon, you know.
Not a great team selling to me in general, but something I should be ready for, I guess.
Yeah, maybe at this point, like when people are asking what do they need to build, like what do you need to test versus, just give them like HO, bulky offense, like just those like broad ideas. Make sure you can like beat every team style. That's probably the way to do it for the rest of the week.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's gonna be up for this update, and then I think the next thing that we'll do for this video is gonna be what, either the game review or maybe another update. I don't know. We'll see. All right. BRB. All right, and we're back. So the game, as you can see, has been played. Now, are we going to spoil it right now? Or I guess we'll find out.
We should watch it. Put it on 2x speed since we're reviewing it. And we can always just pause if it goes too fast. On the bottom right, all dots.
Speed.
Oh, that also works.
2x. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think that's just probably better. Yeah, it's a Wi-Fi game.
Okay, so anyways, we see this team preview, right? And what do we notice here? There is no what?
No removal.
No removal. Yes, so no Toadscruel, no Giwis, but there is screens. There is that Swampert available. So yeah. It
is also for the people at home. It's Terrafighting on the boulder.
It is Terrafighting,
which we did test into. Really strong with SD. But it is always like perma revenge after a CC, even with screens up, if we have Flutter. So we just have to make sure we have Flutter.
Yes. So the idea is Crocodile, you know, even though it's like not going to take a +1 CC, you know, +2 and then an Intimidate, like you can't live that with Terra Fighting. It's impossible without Choppleberry. You get some Rocky Helmet Chip and you force the Terra crucially, which means that Moonblast from Scarf is going to be able to revenge it. That's the whole idea behind that. But anyways, so we don't like to see fighting generally, although I guess it's a little bit better for our team than the fairy one. The fairy one's a little bit scarier.
At least over long term, especially if it wasn't like Scarf set, because we don't have a lot of long term consistent gotta play, and this is like a really offensive team.
Yes. Alright, so we want to prioritize getting spikes if we can, because there's no removal, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Play around the screen turns correctly, and it should be pretty simple.
To the best of our ability.
Yeah. Okay. And I haven't seen this yet, but I'm reacting live.
I played it for the Streets at Home. I played it about 5 hours ago. That's when I played. So it's still very fresh in the mind, so I can like still very accurately like remember my thought process on literally every turn. We also, I counted, we did 25 mocks for this game total.
Damn. It's fine.
So I also remember everything then because of that too. Like it's we took a few, and that's not even kind of like the ones that like turn 3 were like, okay, unwinnable state, forfeit. Like 25 replays. But yeah, he's gonna lead off with the Goldango, which is pretty pog for me, right? I'm not upset by this at all, because like from his perspective, I feel like I have pretty free rock. Yeah, I have pretty free rock here. because he doesn't know if I'm Specs Overheat, right?
Mhm.
If he's Scarf, he doesn't really threaten me, and he can just get O-code back. Like, there's a million things that can go wrong for him, and very few that can go right with him having no information on my
Yeah,
set.
it's like a really great Rock's turn. I like this a lot.
So I get it now. We force in the Swampert. We
Mhm.
also see that it's what do you call it? As we Draco right here. One, I was kind of like in my head, I was like Scarf, oh no, but also it obviously doesn't come close to killing me.
No. Is it Scarf
So that could have
Swampert?
obviously no, it's not.
Okay.
But I didn't
me.
say it in my commentary too because it sounds silly. But I was like, what if it is? I don't switch into Swampert really well.
It would outspeed Ogre.
Yeah, it outspeed Ogre, it outspeed Mew. I mean, like, I don't have a lot that actually OHKOs it, too. So it would actually maybe been something cool to test against, because it's pretty strong into the team we brought. But
Well, it also would have,
yeah.
in this situation, Earthquaked into Dialga. You get your Draco off, it'll do like 85%. Like,
yeah,
because it's
and then
offensive.
we can position from there. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Perfectly fine. But here, okay, we get the eject pack. So what does that chip tell us on that Swampert?
It is pretty Fizdef, or it's not Fizdef
It's mixed
necessarily
def?
guaranteed. We know that it's not Spudef. We see right there, it's pretty offensive. Not max attack, but it is adamant, and he sent me a space afterwards. It wasn't adamant pert. It was like max HP and then like a lot of Fizdef, I think, and
Some
but
attack.
like adamant, pretty invested. Yeah, it was Flip Rocks, EQ. I want to say Yawn or Roar. I forget the exact fourth move. And it was Boots as the item in this game. So,
Boots, yeah.
I mean, great position.
Did you notice that
Great
in the
position
game?
for me.
Like it didn't take rocks?
Noticed it
switched
later.
in
Yeah.
on rocks, but yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it later.
So here, Earthquake is a 2-8 KO, which is a little bit scary, but you could potentially spike here. You go for it? Yeah, there's no removal. You force this out.
I mean, like,
potentially.
if he really wants to sack it for no reason, it's fine. Honestly, I really value the spike, right?
I'm okay playing down him on here if we're playing with double hazard advantage, right? Rocks and a spike up. That's like so nice.
Yeah, that was my thought process. I thought it was nice, and there's always like the possibility of him just saving this because it's like, right. I also don't know if it's like Custat, right? Like Custat's also a possibility, especially if he comes in backs and switches on a hazard. I kind of wish I attacked Hindsight, being that this was the pivot. I thought it was going to be Goldango for sure. Maybe he's just worried about knockoff because he wasn't super defensive, and like maybe that killed. I don't know. But if I got a Horn Leech off on this, you'll see this game would have been a lot easier. I do just kind of take my damage on this turn.
It's a little hindsighty, don't you think? Because I'm watching this blind and I'm thinking Ivy Cudgel perfectly fine, right? So
yeah, I mean, I still get some damage off.
You're
And I think this turn I just spike.
Yeah, so
well, I wanted a triple layer in case he wanted a light screen into like shot or something.
I think we talked about this as well. Like, if the Grim's gonna go for double screens versus your Ogre, you want to punish that by getting max hazards up. So I don't mind the spike here. And here Goldango comes in, but our Dialga's at full HP, right?
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. Just go hard Dialga. Makes sense. The only way this goes wrong is like what, Scarf Focus Blast, which is not a real click here.
Yeah, and if then I get to find out this is a Scarf Goldango, which is probably good to know for later. Like, while Dialga's still so strong here, it's done its job, right? Like,
this is so
really
free.
Well. He recovers. Yeah,
in
my mind, this told me... Yeah, I was a little worried about weakness policy from this perspective, like him recovering them. Like, maybe he wanted to get the weakness policy proc and, like, be healthy to, like, be a threat, but...
That would make sense.
I don't think it was, like, that big of a deal if he was... Now that I got my Dialga in, I'm like, okay, I get off, like, 70% with a flamethrower and then just revenge it afterwards. Like, my whole team's faster than this guy.
Well, if it is weakness policy, even right now, you can just flame, right? If it's probably slower than you, it's going to get 2-8 KO'd and it can't OHKO you back. Unless it's
with
like
anything but
modest
Focus Blast,
which, like, okay, man, sure. But
that means it's, I mean, that means maybe recover 3 attacks. Yeah.
With recover, I find that unlikely, you know?
You probably want like a T-Wave on a set like that, too.
Maybe T-Wave, something else. But now what?
So,
Swampert
out
sack?
comes this thing on a sack. I see Boots here. Unfortunately, that means I don't kill with anything but Draco, which is a little bit annoying. One, because of the miss, but like also because of the drop. Is a little unfortunate, but I take my KO where I can get it. Yeah, like there's no reason to give him free rocks or a free torrent flip or something. So I take it. Light screen isn't up either, so it's not like I can't go into another special attacker. You know,
you're perfectly fine
on something
here.
else coming in. So pretty good position early on.
Oh yeah. Very, very
Double
good.
hazard layer, one of the most annoying mods, and I kind of like it too because it also forces this guy for like the immediate kill. Maybe he was worried about mixed stone edge too. Like that's also a very viable possibility into the ho-oh because it like just does more damage. But I go crook here. We also saw no booster, by the way, which I think is also important to mention. So no booster at all. I can see if this is banded, obviously from the CC, which would pretty much just be it wouldn't be a KO actually. No, would it? I'm not sure.
If it were choice banded, it would be.
It's the same thing as +1, right?
Yeah, it would.
Or no,
it would have
because
KO'd.
no, it would have been neutral then, right? It's like a neutral CC because I like a neutral
intimidate. So yeah, it would do like maybe 75.
Yeah, so it would have done more than that basically. Yeah. Is the main thing. So I know that is going to be a.
You might be like a expert belt kind of thing here, but I don't think so. Yeah,
right here, I'm thinking potential scarf, but again, I thought about like, am I psycho? Do I go hard flutter? But I'm like, no, I lose the game if I lose flutter for no reason on like a psycho cleave or something. So, well, there was never a universe where he actually did click it. I was gonna make the play, and I get a little bit aggressive right here. I just don't think reflect ends his turn. I don't think there's a universe where you give this to me, right? Because if you're not Scarf, I kill you. If you are Scarf, you're locked in.
This 100%.
So I make the double into Ogre Pawn because it's just a KO at this point, right?
Yeah, really nice play on the ho-oh because from his perspective, he doesn't have his like Swampert around or anything like that. The only plays that he has available is this ho-oh or like sack a Pokemon. So like obviously you're gonna go ho-oh. Great double to punish that. I really like that a lot.
So I just clicked the button. Yeah, I could get a first spike, but yeah,
no, it just you definitely something. Ivy. Yeah, you take your KO. Like this is going really well so far.
Oh yeah. So I mean, literally, so Goldango is the only Pokemon that can take 2 attacks from this point, and that is only if it's Culver. But low key, I was actually kind of hoping it was Culver because I saw that as my entry point into Quack.
Yeah, then you can step.
I step, and I mean, if he's not Scarf Kyurem, I literally win.
Yeah.
Right? Because the boulder's in range of Jet from this point. There's 2 spikes and rocks up. It's at like 40 already. Like it just dies to +1 adamant like Jet very comfortably. Literally everything dies.
It would have to be like a T-Wave, what's it called, Grim Snarl to stop you from this position, or a Scarf Kyurem, one of those two.
Yeah, I guess T-Wave Grim Snarl too. I forgot it's healthier than like. So unfortunately, it was eject pack actually. So he's like also an eject pack lead.
Make it rain.
So I'm wondering if like maybe finding a way to position that guy was better. I don't know, but I guess I wouldn't have been able to get in on Make It Rain anyway. So just switched out. Yeah. From this position, I just kind of feel like I'm in a position where I need to sack. Hindsight, maybe the Mew is the play because what's left isn't super Mew weak, whereas like Ogerpon is better into what's left than Mew is. Because the Grimmsnarl's still like 75 and it can obviously screen in my face. Whereas like this guy just Okos everything and the boulder can't switch back in. So I think hindsight, maybe sacking Mew was just a better play, and he ends up going for his Zen Headbutt here to not let in my Flutter for free.
Yeah, so Mew would have worked out, I guess. Curious.
Yeah.
So what does he have in the
back
I'm
wondering
here?
If that was... It's Kyurem Black. Kyurem Black at full has not come in. Yeah, Boots Ho-Oh.
And
Grimmsnarl at about 75.
Yeah.
Before hazards, so it comes in lower.
Just those 3? Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe Mew is a better sack, especially being that this thing like isn't like a threat at setting up and winning anymore. So like I have to punish it for Swords Dancing for some reason or agility for some reason, right? I always have the Quack Revenge.
It's also not booster or anything, so like if it goes for a CC choice or anything, maybe a Mighty Cleave would have been bad into the Mew, but if it like quote unquote locks into Mighty Cleave, then he's like maybe opening up a Quaquaval endgame.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So I'm thinking that Mew was just from my objective better player here.
I think Zen is fine, but also it's fine. You can, but you go hard.
I just go Quack
Jet. Okay.
Just to Jet because I mean
it's in hazard range at this point. You should just sack it.
And something I was okay with like forcing was like if Grimmsnarl comes out, I can kind of break through it even if it tries to get up a screen, right? Because I also know for a fact that unless it's Chople, I kill with +1 CC through screen. I'm not sure the Chople calc, but obviously he'd take Rock, Spike, and even then I'm sure CC and a Jet would kill.
if it like DD'd in my face.
Yeah.
Whereas if this thing comes in raw, one, I get to see if it has to take hazards, which it shows me boots, which is good information for later, right? I know it's not dice. And being that it's boots, I'm not really scared of it when I have my Dialga.
Yeah, so Dialga, the only thing you're really scared of is like 5 hits Icicle Spear into 5 hit Icicle Spear, and that's like
even then does not 2-hit KO
yeah.
me. Does not 2-hit KO me.
1 out of 10.
He needs to be +1 to even do it. Yeah, like he needs a +1 with like 5s.
And he's so
he fusion
pressured
bolts.
to fusion bolt there, like so pressured. Now
That's
here,
why I figured the Quack play was the best revenge.
here it's definitely a power gem, I think.
Yep. That's what I click.
He's so good.
Yeah, because it hits the Grimmsnark coming in. This thing can't just die, right? And even if it does just die, I mean, it's fine because I can threaten with a Draco the next turn, then revenge with Moonblast, right? There's no screen up.
Beast mode.
Super punishes his Ho-Oh coming out.
Yeah,
it does
100%.
unfortunately show to be pretty fast Ho-Oh, at least faster than the Dialga set that we ran.
But that was
so it does hit me right here.
expected.
Yeah, it doesn't really do that much though because I am bulky as hell in the Dialga. So I power gem again. We kill the Ho-Oh. Out comes this guy. So this is where things get a little awry, right? In my head, I don't know if I'm correct in this. I didn't want to position myself into Kyurem with screens up. Whereas, again, I know that if I'm at +1 Adamant Life Orb, I kill Kyurem, guaranteed with close combat. So my thought process was hard Quack, because Quack doesn't do anything into the Kyurem without an Aqua Step boost anyways, on the guaranteed light screen right here, right? It's not going to reflect. He light screens right here. I go into Quack and I try and get a double step off to kill or step into Jet if it, for some reason does kill that.
Yeah.
And from there, I get my Moxie, I kill the Kyurem and win the game. Maybe just staying in Flaming was better. I don't know. I figured that, especially being that I don't have Flash Cannon, not letting him get up like both screens for free and then parting shotting out, just felt like I could lose me the game.
Well, parting shot is super troll because I think if you're staying into attack, you just you flame this turn because screens are going up, but after that you always power gem. So if he like parting shots into power gem into Draco, that can't be like legal, right?
Screens up, Kyurem is really bulky.
It is, but Dialga's also really strong at the same time.
I mean,
let's see.
I'm curious. I can run the calc real quick. I have a calc open. I just have to like get. I said I was modest 176. Sorry, I played another game after this. So I don't have my team in the calc anymore.
Oh no.
So in this instance, we would be -1 with a light screen up, right?
Yes, but he would also have to come in on a power gem into Draco.
Yeah, no, I get you. Kyurem Black. He wasn't super bulky. He had like 80 something bulk, but I'll just calc it as if it's nothing. With a light screen up. So yeah, I don't kill with that combination ever. -1 power gem does max 22, does min 18.9, and then Draco at -1 only does 46 min to 54.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that was like what I was worried about. I didn't kill with Draco through screen at neutral, so like I was like, okay, I don't think I really want to position into this in that way. I don't know. I could be trolling, but that felt like the best idea for me. So
I see the thought process at least. Like, especially it's really hard for him to DD on like a close combat, right? Even with reflect up.
Yeah, exactly. And again, he has to let me get like +1. Or if he goes hard into Kyurem here, I get a step into CC, yeah, he'll live. But then Flutter Revenges, he can't get both.
But you can't switch right now, Reflect's not up.
Or Mew. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the case as well.
I mean, the next
But
turn.
he shows T-Wave.
Yeah.
Which is a little unfortunate. I don't know if I could have really played around that reality, right? I do guaranteed make it to where he can't set up unless he's just going for Para.
Which he could.
Yeah. Yeah, which he definitely really could. But in my head, I go here, I click Close Combat. And again, I don't think up to this point I'm super fumbling. He does attack, he doesn't go for the Para, because the rest of my team is special. But from this position, well, I guess no, the next turn is fine. So I didn't want to go Flutter. Flutter was a very low chance to 2-hit KO, no bulk. It was like 20%. Couldn't go Flutter. So my thought process here was Dialga, Draco, and then I have to win the 50-50.
On like what scale shot and like
Spear.
Well, it's not dice, right?
Mew, Draco into Mew also does not kill. By the way.
It's silly.
Yeah, so this was a very, very finicky end game. Again, I know I definitely didn't like. I don't know if I played this perfectly or if my thought process is super sound. But there, in my mind, I don't know. There wasn't like a super, super clear path to guaranteed win the video game. But my thought process was at least the Dialga play gives me a chance. And even then, Dialga, if I get that play wrong, Dialga has a pretty okay chance at living. I don't know. Just go ahead and play the next turn because I think I made the wrong play. But we can at least talk about it.
Okay.
So I do go Dialga here. I'm
Yes.
looking at the calcs right now.
Dialga and Draco's your strongest option.
Yeah, he doesn't kill me with like anything. I'm pretty sure I like live 5-hit spear from neutral.
Oh yeah, you do. I think from this range, it should do about The Dragon Dance, we expect this.
So we
Does a lot.
I don't do enough. It looks like it's a 2 KO. I don't think this is the right play.
Ooh.
I think I should have just Draco'd twice. Because even here, he has to get 3 or above to kill me. With Scale. Scale can miss, plus I have the possibility of going Flutter. He makes a super aggressive play in double DDs.
I can see you freaking out in the webcam.
I mean, yeah, from this point, I literally lose if he gets enough hits. I mean, there's no other point, to be honest. I think I lose from this point. Mew also can live, but unless I crit, I don't kill, so it doesn't matter. Dialga can live too. So we gotta go Dialga and live too. And again, I still don't really know like what my correct play there was. Was it double DDing and letting him scale shot kill me? I get 2. So I mean...
Okay, yeah, this endgame was really closer than it maybe needed to be.
Yeah.
But also, did you have another out
So
here?
I was talking to him after, and he said, yeah, I played off your choke. I don't know if that was a raw choke. I don't know if it was the right analysis of the situation, though. I don't know.
Yeah, so let's see. If you stay in on a scale shot, then it's only +1. It's not dice. We know it's not dice.
So I guess it's a matter of just +1 to it KO Mew always. And I think it does, because I'm offensive. So I don't... Yeah, it does. It always 2 it KOs me. So I lose in that instance. If he scales, I literally lose.
He wouldn't be +2, he'd be +1.
No, I know. I'm saying +1 spear, 2 it KOs Mew.
Yeah.
Or I guess I never let him get 2 DDs in this instance. No, but it doesn't matter, right? Because Mew never... So, say I stay in and he scale shots and kills me. He gets 3 hits, I die, right? Or he gets, not 3 hits. It's like he gets like 4. I think he needs 4 to kill me from that instance. I die. I guess it's more likely for him to not get 4 or 5 hits than it is for him to get 2 hits, right? But if he DDs, he scale shots, he kills me. He's at +2, +1. He obviously kills my Flutter Mane. My Mew doesn't die, but it gets 2 KO'd. Guaranteed. And there, I can't stall the screen turn in any way, shape, and form. Like, there's no way to stall the screen turn, obviously.
And how healthy is this guy?
I think
after the Draco?
it is guaranteed. I looked at it after. It's at here. Actually, he sent me the exact HP number he was at with his investment because he was not happy after the game.
I'm not interested in like knowing the thing. Just like the information we have at the time. Right? He's at what? Is that 36, something like that?
So he had
looks like it
80 HP, and he was at 141. So it was again. Obviously, I don't know that exact information. He's at 34%. My Mew with Terra Stellar Power Gem does 29% max. It wasn't even close, and I could eye that and see that. Obviously, we're not in Showdown. I can't see the exact numbers, but I could tell from there. That's pretty off, right? And again, we talked about Vacuum Wave last night too.
We did.
That would have been game saving. That would have been game saving, right? From there, I always have a win, right? Because I just gem, wave, game.
Yep.
Unless 5 hits. I think I do die to 5-hit spear. Yeah, I would die to 5-hit spear on Mew.
That's so
but that's
unlikely.
also pretty unlikely, right? Like, it's about as unlikely as 2 hit, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, which would, again, I guess just come down to that instance, but... I don't know. I wasn't really worried about missing. I don't think I was like, I don't want to miss Draco, so I'm not going to click it. Like, it was literally just like, in my mind, it was a 50-50, when I don't think it was as much of a 50-50 as I was thinking it was. I don't know. I'm still, like, kind of thinking about which play I should have made in that endgame.
I don't think a -2 Draco kills on the same roll then. If it's at, like, 34, you said?
I can calc it.
'Cause if
Dialga.
there's
I
one
can
that's
just calc what his.
64, then it's 32.
Yeah,
You
I can
gotta
calc what
live.
his HP. His HP was. He was 80 HP force per def. I can just check through a light screen if
Like,
2 Dracos kills.
Again, I'm not interested in like
I guess it would be -2, right? For that
hindsight
instance,
knowing the
I could
spread
just.
rolls. Like the
No, I
information
know.
you have.
Mhm. Okay, so then we'll just theoretically calc from no HP,
Mhm.
176 modest, -2 through light screen. I do 34 min, 34.5 to 40. So it definitely killed him, but also hindsight, I could probably say that it probably kills him.
Mhm. I think it does go back to the ogre sack. Like ogre
Yeah,
is your
I think
main
that just
guy to
puts me in a-
prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
So like where
Because
was
it always prevents 2, especially that it's DD. It always prevents 2.
Yeah, here.
You know, especially what I'm adamant Ogrepon Cornerstone. Like that just
Yeah.
8 billion even through reflect. It's not, and even if
and
it
he
is
didn't give
charty,
him the reflect opportunity. He went hard quack.
yeah.
He actually couldn't reflect even if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So it just comes down to so it's just kind of getting a call wrong on the last one, getting bailed by not getting 3 hit.
Yeah.
And then, but it kind of is just like that snowball effect of losing a piece too early for no reason and not kind of like managing my resources properly and sacking the ogre more earlier than I should have.
Yeah, because this is definitely a Mew switch angle.
Yeah, I think I
Even
also
if-
valued the Mew too much. I didn't ever send out the Mew, right? Because it
Yeah,
just didn't
it
have
never
the right
came out.
positions in this game.
Yeah,
Why not
it's
sack
more
it,
so
right?
a
If
punisher
anything,
of
I
like
can
the
maybe-
wheezing kind of styles
Mhm.
that people were running in mocks. Like any team
Yeah.
that
Keep
had
your
like a
offense.
wheezing with like that sort of thing got
Mhm.
smoked by Mew. But this team is very much not that pace.
Too offensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
And
it
I
was
wasn't
just a
finding
Mew here.
opportunities to get in on Ho-Oh and yeah.
Even
So
on
I
a
go
Mighty
Mew.
Cleave, we're okay with that. Like worst case is fine, but sacking the ogre when it's faster than Ho-Oh, faster than KB. I think we already
Mhm.
revealed boots at this point, right?
Mhm.
So you're faster than all those. The only thing left that really worries the Ogrepon is that Grim Snarl, like T-Wave opportunity. But
Mhm.
you just switch out on that, I think, potentially.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I could switch out and like sack
Mhm.
Quack to that at that point, right? Like
Yeah.
Quack isn't super needed. So I guess it does just kind of come down to Ogrepon.
Yeah, that was your
And
way to
not-
guarantee this.
Mhm.
Plus you would have got the cool Terrastellar Mew from the
On the field?
thumbnail. Yeah.
Dude, it's not even gonna be a thumbnail anymore. I had to pay Kurt for a thumbnail I didn't fucking use.
No. But yeah.
It's $10, but dude, I was gonna be a sick thumbnail. I'm like, oh dude, he literally just never touched the field. I can't.
I'm
He can't
interested
be the
to know,
thumbnail.
is it even scale shot?
I mean, I could look at his team. I don't really. It was scale shot, yes.
Okay.
It was spear, scale shot, fusion bolt. I think he was just
Makes
like
sense, yeah.
or rode him his ass. I don't actually, and it's not like fucking Rotom takes +1 scale
No.
really well, you know. Even if it's Fizz Staff, you're Rotom heat,
Especially
and
because in
even
the
then,
regular
if
season,
it comes, it's dummy pressured into Ho-Oh.
yeah, and if in the regular season, Rotom did come to the game, switch it on KB, and freaking died to Earth Power, so he knows you're not going to do that again. So that
Yeah,
makes sense.
like that interaction isn't going to
Mhm.
happen. Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like my Dialga not running Flash Cannon because the fairies weren't going to be in on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was just, and again, I didn't even really think about that until we started watching this. Like, hey, I didn't
Mhm.
need to sack my ogre. Like, it was still really strong here.
No, here,
I literally
I don't
won the
think there's
game
another out.
than what I did.
Yeah, because he's going to get that second DD off no matter what. Even if you Draco again on the same roll, it won't kill. And then it's the same thing. You have to live with your Dialga or your Mew.
Mhm.
But in that case, Mew at least would kill back because you get 2 Dracos off. So
Yeah.
you just gave him an extra turn for free by going Flutter.
Yeah.
I think if he
But
attacks
again, even
your
then-
Flutter at +1 with scale shots, he still has to get the hits on Dialga.
Even then with Mew, I still have to play the same game of like, I guess it's 3 or less instead of 2. So it still is better odds in that instance. So I probably should have just stayed in because what do you call it? But even then 3 is a roll, right? It's 40% chance or 37% chance to kill me from full with 3 hits from spear. from Max Attack Jolly. I think he was 248. So actually, wow, that's a crazy roll. I mean, obviously I don't know that, but it goes down actually. It's a 25% chance. Just because he's 248 attack instead of max attack. Run max attack on your offensive guys, kids.
Okay, like Icicle Spear and like multi-hit moves like that, the EVs, they jump really bigly
Yeah,
at
it's like
certain
little
break
cup.
points.
It's like little cup.
It literally is. I found that out like by using Urshifu Rapid a bunch in DCL. Like I was like, oh, I can be 216 out of it and it hits exactly the same damage as max.
Yo, dude, I was actually watching the VGC stream today for what was it? Baltimore, San Antonio, and they were talking about that. They're like, yeah, the damage rolls are so volatile in Urshifu. I saw like Namungus was pollen puffing a Cali Ice, and like one would just like, oh, that would have 2-hit KO'd if he didn't pollen puff. Oh, that did 45. That did 42. That did 54. Like it was pretty crazy, like how volatile the numbers were, like when he got like higher damage rolls. So, no, yeah, it makes sense. I don't know. I think it does come down to the ogre because I was talking to him after. He was pretty convinced I threw.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
Free spot. Not with the ogre. He was saying I threw by switching Dialga.
No. Maybe.
I don't know. I think I gave myself slightly less odds.
You should have stayed in, but I don't think switching is a throw. You know, like
yeah. I think I analyzed my odds. I think I analyzed my odds wrong.
It's
like what was the most likely path to victory was.
It's a wrong prediction, which is not necessarily a throw. It's just you got the turn wrong. He took advantage of that. He has to go for something, right? Like this is only out the KB reverse sweep.
Yeah. So my chances of winning that game, by the way, 2 hits. Unless John's wrong. He said it was 37.
33.
Oh, it's 32? Oh, okay. It's not 37. He said 37.
It's 33 for 2 hits, 33 for 3 hits, and then 33 divided by 2 for 4 and 5 respectively. That's
I just got
works.
It came down to a 1 in 3 chance then.
Yes.
Which isn't the best odds humanly possible. So, yeah, I think it could have been tighter. I mean, I will say I do think I played the early game like really fucking well. It also just shows though, like in these matchups that aren't very good. While I was like, I felt like I was steamrolling him early. I fucked up one small play, and it wasn't even like oh no, Owen, what are you doing in the moment? I was just like, I'll sack over here, I'm fine, you know. And it almost just raw lost me the game.
Almost, yeah.
On its own. So
yeah, a little bit rough. I do think just Dracoing again was probably fine because that not only gives your Dialga the chance to live, but also the Mew living would actually KO back now thanks to the Draco chip.
Yeah, it gives me way higher odds. I don't know what the exact numbers are obviously because there's like that Draco was a roll, so whatever the roll was from there, right? Me living or him getting 2 hits if I don't kill, / Mew getting 3 or under / getting the roll on 3. Like it's obviously very convoluted odds, 33%, but it's for sure higher than 33.
Plus 66% on Mew, right? So that's, you add those together, that's 100% chance to win because that's how that works, of course.
So true. True. You're spitting.
Well, actually, we can calculate that. It's 0.33 time.
Well, do you want the
0.66 or 67, I guess, to KO your Dialga?
I can also
times 0.33 to KO your Mew, and he has a 22% chance of making it out alive in that one. So you'd be favored 78% odds.
I can also tell
you were favored 33%, so not favored.
I can also tell you pretty much guaranteed that that Draco was 81% chance to kill. Based on his set. Yeah, obviously we don't know that in that instance, but
I think
it's like even higher.
It's not exactly an easy situation to read in the moment, of course, but looking at it, like actually analyzing, Draco was for sure the play here.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But stay,
I
one GG, as they say.
Yeah.
And
I'd rather be lucky than good. Let's go, baby.
Rather be both, but
true. Yeah, that's top 5 talking.
Let's go! Woo! Yippee!
Because I mean, obviously you're not playing it out loud, but anything else, like, I lost. He got the play there, and I got the play wrong. Like, shit. Oh, dude, fucking pogging out.
Yeah. So this is nice. This means the pond has won the BBL and the PPL with Uzi. So shout out to the pond.
Hey,
Really
and
is
just
the
for
best.
$19.99,
Yeah.
you can become a member of the pond too.
Exactly.
You gotta fucking plug it, do the arrows down to the fucking button, dude.
Yeah.
Come on, you're a professional YouTuber.
So true.
$19.99, you can be a pond member too.
Yeah,
And
I did
L5 will
enable
make fun of you during
memberships
mods.
on my channel recently. So if you
Mhm.
want to be a member, I do have some perks down there. It's a little bit pricey, but it is like quite a few hours of my time. So
That's
I think it's
again,
worth it if you're interested in that.
it's worth it. You want to
I mean,
win a
look,
championship,
you want to
you
win
know?
BBL?
Yeah, true. I don't know. Especially any you Wi-Fi coaches watching.
Hey.
I'm saying it helps.
All right, that's gonna be it for me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Do you have anything you want to say?
I don't know. I appreciate this Hellball season. I'm glad we were able to take it home, even if it wasn't the cleanest end to it.
Yeah.
I think we
What
played
was
ball all
it?
season.
7-2 season, and then
7-2 regular season. But
one
I came
loss
to
was
you.
not-
I came to
not
you at
me.
1-1. Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't
so-
me either, motherfucker.
So we went
It was
6-1 in the regular, or 7-1 in the
Nice.
regular season together, and then
Mhm.
swept the playoffs, of course.
Yeah,
That's a pretty
and the
good
only loss
record.
was this one. The only,
So
I mean, the only
10-1?
loss was the eventual finals opponent. So John, who
Yeah.
had a great season, on top of it not being a good matchup. This was
Mhm.
not a fun matchup to build for, right? Like,
Yeah.
it took 2 times to beat it, and even then, you had to get a little luck.
Yep.
So yeah,
That's it. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.
bye.